7066. Tell them Bill sent you today. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the NewsTalkSTL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to continue to track temperatures back towards the upper 90s today, with it feels like temperature reaching up to 107 degrees in some areas. Mostly sunny skies going to be on deck today. From Thursday lasting through Saturday, we continue our first alert weather day coverage as we continue to surge back towards the triple digits for our heat index values. We'll continue to look at some isolated chances of showers and storms from the afternoon hours lasting towards the early overnight hours each day. From the first alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch.
There's a lot to talk about today, St. Louis. Let's get the conversation started. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Well, there was another round of big Supreme Court decisions handed down on Tuesday. Here's the spoiler alert, although I'm sure you already know this, on the birthright citizenship case. And this is what I thought was going to happen. President Trump gets a big loss on that. But now we have clarity as far as to what the Fourth Amendment means, at least as far as how the Supreme Court interprets it. Yes, we're going to talk about that throughout the morning here as well. Also, the laws that ban mentally ill boys and men from competing in girls' sports and being in their locker rooms, yeah, those laws are upheld. So good ruling on that one as well. Happy Wednesday to you, Mike Ferguson here. Speaking of which, there are a lot of companies right now deciding to pull back a little bit when it comes to getting on board and doing the whole LGBT Pride Month activism thing. It's not that they're not friendly, but maybe they're not leading with it quite as much. On Tuesday's program, Tyler O'Neill from the Daily Signal joined us to talk about an article that he wrote documenting how some of these major international corporations not quite as bold as they used to be. Here's what we learned. You know, media and academia and their cohorts and their co-conspirators, they're maintaining the same narrative. Pride, LGBT activism, that's just accepted. That's mainstream. That's just where everybody is right now. And anybody who doesn't support it, well, that means that you're the gadfly. You're the one who's outside of the realm of society now.
And I'm sure it's all totally organic, and
right.
It's not at all being pushed for narrative reasons.
Yeah, if you've come across somebody who says we've had enough, never mind them. Those opinions don't even exist, not even a reality, but is the market saying something different?
Ooh.
Okay, Daily Signal. We've got an article there. I actually found it on the readlion.com, but it goes right back to the Daily Signal. Cultural correction. 10 major brands dial back the LGBTQ pride, and it was written by our friend Tyler O'Neill, who joins us right now. And I want to start there and then get into some of the specifics and name some of the names that you did in this article, Tyler. And that is what you wrote, and just the realities of some of these businesses could be reflecting changes in the market, because we're talking about, commercial corporations. We're talking about businesses that want to sell us stuff, and they need to have a customer base that is not ticked off at them 24/7. So are we seeing something in the market more than we're seeing, or at least as much as we're seeing in the whole debate over morality or religious beliefs or anything like that?
Yeah, thanks so much, Mike. I think we're seeing actually three separate things. So you're very right that there are two different aspects here where the market is demanding something, and then you also have the moral compulsions that used to be in corporate America. They constantly push this moral message that they called it moral. Many of us would disagree that everything LGBTQ has to be rammed down everyone's throat. But then there's the third index here that I think is also very much part of the story, and that is the legal framework. When you see, President Trump coming in day one, issuing executive orders against so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion, that really tilted the ballgame. And what it did was it undid a lot of this noxious activism we'd seen from the left, where they constantly push this idea of ESG standards, environmental, social, and governance, where many investors would only give to companies if they checked off a bunch of boxes. And one of the big boxes there was the Human Rights Campaign's Corporate Equality Index. And this is where you have one of the most radical LGBTQ activist groups in America demanding companies change their internal policies. And then also, I mean, if you look at the Human Rights Campaign's Corporate Equality Index today, I mean, it requires you essentially to be out there as a cheerleader for every bit of their radical agenda. And so it's not just changing your internal policies. It's also going out and, spending money bankrolling some of these groups, giving them airtime, promoting them in public, and all sorts of things where, you're essentially saying in order to get certain investors' money, you have to kowtow to an extremely divisive agenda. And now, thankfully, due to the Trump administration coming in and actually applying the civil rights laws the way that they were written and the way that they're meant to be applied, and getting rid of some of this noxious, so-called reverse, but really it is just another form of discrimination. Now companies can start listening more to the market. Now you're starting to see conservative shareholders speak up. Now you're starting to see companies return to neutral. And that's really, naming these names. You have major brands. I mean, this is Amazon, Facebook, Meta, Home Depot, McDonald's, Nike, Pepsi, Puma, Target, Walmart, and YouTube. And each of these brands has taken clear steps away from the sort of activism that they've been pushing in recent years. Now, of course, many of us who, really don't want this stuff pushed on us from the corporate side or from the legal side or from the moral side, we're standing here and we're like, all right, this is a step in the right direction, but we'd really like to see these companies not engage in this at all. But I think it's still important to sit back and say, look, the trends are going in a healthy direction now. We're no longer seeing as much of corporate America trying to shove LGBTQ rainbow flags down our throats every June. And this is a step in the right direction.
So, Tyler, because some of these companies you named, Amazon, Facebook, or Meta, McDonald's and all the others, there's a lot of people who would think they're so big, they're bigger than any market correction. They're bigger than the market. They can impose. What kind of critical mass was required to get them to rethink this? Because I think if a lot of companies just, for a few days or whatever, decided to put a, rainbow flag up or say, hey, we support our LGBT employees, I don't think there'd be some kind of backlash. At some point, they crossed a line from, just inclusion or we see you to the actual activism, and some would argue grooming as well. So that's kind of a dual question there is, at what point did they realize they're not bigger than the market and felt the need to respond to it?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So the answer to that is a rolling answer. If you look, I think we remember back in 2023 when you had two massive things that happened. One of them was Target putting, so-called tuck swimsuits in their stores. This was a situation where men who claim to, men who present themselves as women could hide their man parts using a specific type of swimsuit. And, this is the kind of thing that it's kind of gross to think about, but it's also, when you're talking about this sort of thing, we've seen, and now, unfortunately, it's a growing trend where men have abused their access to women's spaces that they get in the name of identifying as transgender women to prey upon vulnerable women. And this happens over and over and over again. And the thing is, I'm not out here trying to scare people about people who really struggle with gender dysphoria. But when you get rid of a guardrail, an important guardrail, like saying that only women can be in women's restrooms or in women's sports or in women's prisons, you open the door for bad actors across the society. And so that's what we're seeing over and over again. And this sort of tuck swimsuits thing, it wasn't just about, the fact that some gender confused guy wants to present himself as a woman. It's also that these guys could use this to more effectively infiltrate these circles. And so Target went all in on this. And at the same time, you had Bud Light working and promoting with a transgender influencer named Dylan Mulvaney. And these two things really shocked Americans in a way that we hadn't seen them shocked before. And you started to see market corrections deliver the message. And that was before, this is before President Trump won in 2024. And this is before he started those DEI executive orders. So we can say, and I think those executive orders are also a key aspect of this story, but the momentum was already moving in the direction this big market correction had started in 2023.
Yeah, and also with the Target thing, I want to add on that it wasn't even just for adult men. They had this in the small children's sections, as in targeting little boys. Like little boys, like preschool age boys. With that by any definition is grooming. So Target clearly crossed the line. Bud Light just did something so incredibly stupid. I think people finally got annoyed with him and maybe tried another beer and found out that almost every beer is better than Bud Light. But that's another situation here. And so, and so it basically came down to, you mentioned neutrality. So I don't see that there's a correction to say you suddenly have to be right wing and you have to be, anti-activist on anything. I think, is it just a matter, Tyler, of the market saying, just sell me stuff. Don't try to tell me what to do. Don't use your platform to construct the culture that some people say. Just sell me shoes, or something very simple. Let's keep the transaction as basic as possible.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that really is the nut of the matter, because the point here isn't that, we have a bunch of conservative Christians who want to say, oh, we want crosses on everything instead of pride flags. That's not the message here. The message here is we want corporate America to do what corporate America does best. If you're Target, if you're Amazon, if you're YouTube, we want you to just be selling your product, because these companies, they do a tremendous service. And this is the big irony of all this, is that dialing back, with the perspective of decades, we see that for a long time, Republicans and conservatives have generally always appreciated that when you're a free market business, you are adding to the wealth of the society by providing a product. And that is something we value. But the problem is the left had constantly demanded. They kept saying, oh, companies are inherently evil, or companies need to do penance for all their free market stuff, as if capitalism were a bad thing. And it's like, no, and the reason we got into this mess is because Republicans leaned over backwards trying to protect business, and Democrats started demanding everything. And so now conservatives have realized, well, look, we need to actually be saying, we need to be demanding things, because the left will do it. And if we're not, then we're going to get outmatched. But the thing that we demand is that businesses stay neutral, is that, you're not alienating conservative Christian workers. You're not alienating people who just want to go into Walmart and buy the goods they need for their family. This is basic economics 101. And if you're a major company, you should be providing the good and service that you exist to provide, and not trying to push a divisive social message.
All right, 314-912-1019. We are going to get to kind of the overview of those huge Supreme Court rulings in just a little bit, because this affects your child's or your grandchild's school, especially in states like Missouri that say the mentally ill boys are not allowed to get into those spaces. And then also the birthright citizenship. Boy, if that does not reiterate how important border security is, I don't know what will. We'll talk about it all this morning here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Conservative talk for St. Louis.
It's your patriotic rights and duty.
The government needs to step up and do its job.
This is News Talk STL.
It's well-balanced conversation.
News, analysis, opinion. This year, America turns 250, and News Talk STL is celebrating our nation's semi-quincentennial all year long. News Talk STL, #1 for live and local Soros-free talk, with proud supporters of our 250th birthday celebration. Trolley Stop Bakery, DG Firearms, and The Yard Guy. 250 years strong, and we're just getting started. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
When the storm hits and a tree comes down, you need someone you can trust right now. OLI Outdoor Services in Godfrey is on call 24/7 for emergency tree removal, trimming, stump grinding, and land clearing. Serving Illinois and Missouri with licensed, insured professionals and over 200 years of combined experience. Tree removal starting at just $299. Free estimates, plus financing. Visit OLIOutdoorServices.com or call 1-888-5-SAWING.
Hey guys, don't miss Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. where we talk about so many areas, including AI, law, and health. We have some fantastic guests on my show. Don't forget, Sunday evenings at 8 p.m., Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser.
Stand and Fight with Nick Schroer.
Hey, it's Nick Schroer. To preserve this nation, to preserve the experiment in liberty that our founders envisioned, we must take a stand and fight.
Stand and Fight with Nick Schroer. Sunday nights at 6.
Only on News Talk STL.
Don't let spring surprises ruin your comfort. Johnson Heating and Cooling in Wentzville is offering air conditioner checkups for just $99. We'll check your Freon, inspect your condensate hose, and test all electrical connections. Plus, we'll clean your system for no additional charge if you act before June 30th. Keep your home running smoothly this season. Visit johnson-heatingandcooling.com. That's johnson-heatingandcooling.com. Johnson Heating and Cooling. Your comfort, our priority.
People ask all the time, who the heck is Low Cost Airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rate you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, what are we talking about? Well, the whole country's talking about these Supreme Court rulings.
Yes.
Now, there were a few, but really it's the birthright citizenship and then obviously the trannies and the sports thing.
One of those things matters a lot more to me than the other one, though.
Yeah, I mean, they're both important, but there's also on the, and I know this is going to surprise some people, but the runaway discussions on the internet are kind of taking these discussions away from what the reality of what they are actually is. Mm-hmm. The birthright citizenship one, pretty straightforward. Essentially, the Supreme Court says the interpretation of the 14th Amendment regarding, if you're born in the United States, regardless of any other situations, if you're born here, couple minor exceptions, but you're born here, then you are a U.S. citizen. Okay, so President Trump issued an executive order saying that's not how the government interprets this. We are no longer recognizing births in the United States if your parents are not here legally or if the parents are here temporarily. you're not citizens anymore. And so he knew at the time, and we covered this at the time, saying the whole point of this was to shove this to the Supreme Court to get a ruling and get clarity on it. Now, Trump didn't like the end result, but I don't know how it could have turned out any other way based on how this whole thing went. So, as I'm sure that you've heard, the Supreme Court ruled that if you are born in the United States, you're a citizen, and President Trump's executive order is just tossed out. Now, does that mean that there's still going to be all kinds of birth tourism in the United States? Well, Congress can do something about that. That doesn't mean that we can't stop it. It just means that once they get here, the Supreme Court has said this is how the 14th Amendment is interpreted. Whether you agree or not, that's just them's the rules right now.
Yeah, and Clarence Thomas, I think his dissent was just spot on with what I think most rationally minded people are feeling about this right now. I get that there's a difference sometimes between the letter of a law and the spirit of a law, when there's, of course, it's about 14th Amendment, which says any person born here is a citizen,
right?
Ignoring all of the context around why that wording was chosen at that time. But it is very disappointing. I mean, what options do we have? Are we just going to stop permitting pregnant people from entering into the country for, if they want to come on a tour, if they want to, work?
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not saying don't do it.
I'm saying is that there are, it's now on Congress to make that stop, or now on whatever the administration can do, because the Supreme Court didn't rule that everybody gets to come drop their babies here. That's not what they said. They looked at, does this executive order change anything? They ruled it does not. And so Susie will get into that. We'll start the coverage of that around 6:05 here, and then go into more depth at 6:35. And then there was the one on the, mentally deranged boys and men competing in girls and women's sports. And so the Supreme Court, and this is where so many on the internet are getting this wrong, the Supreme Court did not ban boys from beating up on girls in girls sports, did not ban men from being in women's collegiate sports. They did not ban that at all. What they did say is that states are allowed to protect women and girls in their sports, and state laws that say, no, you mentally deranged boy, you're not allowed to, you can walk around and pretend you're a girl. You can skip around and sing I Feel Pretty. You can do scenes from Oklahoma, the musical, if you want to do that. That's all up to you. You can pretend to be Judy Garland, whatever it is you want to do, dude. But if a state says you cannot go compete in women's spaces, you cannot, then the state has the right to do that, because there are states that devalue women and girls so much that they allow that. Those laws weren't up for debate. What the Supreme Court here said is that no, states are allowed to protect women and girls from the deranged, from the perverse. They're allowed to do that. So again, we're going to get into some more basics of this here in just a couple minutes with Susie, who was watching this like an unbelievable hawk. Yes. I mean, she was like, at one point she even goes, not a good idea to talk to me right now. Direct quote. He's my witness, because she was all over this. Of course, you can see the coverage, Red State and Newsmax and all sorts of places. And then 6:35, we've got our friends from Pacific Legal going to really do a deep dive so you understand what this actually means to all of us.
Let's get real. Here's the truth about eliminating Missouri's income tax.
I'm here with Dennis Ganal, the founder and CEO of Mo Tax Relief Now. So, Dennis, let's talk seniors. Why should you seniors vote yes on Amendment 5?
Well, because Social Security, public pensions, and capital gains are already exempt from the Missouri income tax. But future politicians can always change that law. The best way to protect retirement income permanently is to phase out the income tax itself.
Okay, so that's about policy, but how does this affect our families? Like for seniors, we're talking grandparents maybe. How does this affect you?
Well, because too many of our children and grandchildren leave Missouri for states like Tennessee, which have better opportunities and lower taxes. Amendment 5 helps Missouri become more competitive so future generations can stay, work, and raise their families here. Axe the tax. Vote yes on Amendment 5 and keep your money.
Learn more at afpmissouri.com.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stigall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
Lower your car payment today. Lower your car payment today. Yes, you heard us right. You can lower your car payment right now by making this free call and save up to $1,400 a year on your current car payments. Think about your current car payment right now. What's that costing you per year? Now think about what it would be like to put an extra $1,400 back in your pocket. That's the average savings our customers experience. We can help you drive the same car and pay less every month by lowering your car payment's interest rate to as low as 4.67%. At Rate Genius, we can work with you to refinance any car payment. If you qualify, it costs you nothing to find out how you can lower your car payment. To learn more, call this number right now.
800-493-5670. 800-493-5670. 800-493-5670. That's 800-493-5670.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Socialism on the march in the U.S. Democratic Socialist beats a 30-year incumbent in Colorado's Democratic primary for the U.S. House.
It was a stunning defeat Tuesday for 30-year incumbent Diana DeGette, losing to a 29-year-old former lawyer and Democratic Socialist in the 1st Congressional District.
I'm Maylock Heroes! We will not wait to take the fight to Donald Trump and the oligarchy.
Audio courtesy of KMGH. In other races, U.S. Senator John Hickenlooper fended off State Senator and Progressive Julie Gonzalez. And in the race for Colorado governor, State Attorney General Phil Weiser won the Democratic primary and is favored to win in November. I'm Donna Warder.
On Capitol Hill, the House leadership abruptly canceled votes yesterday, sending lawmakers home early. Speaker Mike Johnson's majority once again gridlocked by rebellious Republicans rejecting their own party's agenda.
More than a dozen conservatives in the House continued their blockade in protest of the stalled Save America Act in the Senate. Lawmakers voting 198 to 224 against advancing a bunch of legislative items, including a must-pass defense bill that will be paired with the Save America Act. 14 Republicans voting no. Among the holdouts, Florida's Anna Paulina Luna, Chip Roy from Texas, Thomas Massey from Kentucky, and Lauren Boebert of Colorado. House Speaker Mike Johnson calling the hardball tactics self-defeating for Republicans and the president's agenda.
And that's correspondent Laura Winters reporting. President Trump has announced that Republicans will be holding their first ever national convention ahead of the all-important midterm elections. That convention to be held in Dallas, September 9th and 10th. On Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures are down 110 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-583-0141. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-583-0141. That's 800-583-0141. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to continue to track temperatures back towards the upper 90s today, with it feels like temperature reaching up to 107 degrees in some areas. Mostly sunny skies going to be on deck today. From Thursday lasting through Saturday, we continue our first alert weather day coverage as we continue to surge back towards the triple digits for our heat index values. We'll continue to look at some isolated chances of showers and storms from the afternoon hours lasting towards the early overnight hours each day. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Business owners, download your free playbook for financial clarity at SerenityWealthBiz.com. That's SerenityWealthBiz.com.
You work hard, follow the rules, and get absolutely slammed by taxes. Your paycheck taxed, your property taxed, everything you buy taxed. Missouri's tax system isn't broken, it's rigged against you. The lawyers and lobbyists working for big corporations and the super rich buried over 200 loopholes for themselves in our tax code. While they pay nothing on the services they use, working families are taxed over and over. It's no wonder they're lying about Amendment 5. Our corrupt tax system is rigged in their favor. They're getting a free ride on your back. Don't believe their lies. The truth is, Amendment 5 closes loopholes exploited by the super rich and slashes taxes paid by Missouri's working families, phasing out income taxes and cutting property taxes. They finally pay what they owe while you keep what you earn. Vote yes on Amendment 5. Paid for by Missouri Promise PAC.
On the next, Larry Connors, USA.
The story behind the story, the Catholic Church named Mother Teresa a saint. Others claim she was a monster.
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
I'm not like the rest of you. I don't make mistakes.
Susie Moore.
What you're telling me doesn't sound logical, my dear.
Get up! Get up! In case you hear the alarm. Get up, St. Louis.
You need to get to go. I need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, we're going to dig into the details more at 6:35. Okay, so we're going to go like lawyer heavy and explain what this all means with our friends from Pacific Legal and Susie here. But everybody is rightly talking about, debating those, at least those two major Supreme Court rulings. And so let's do kind of an overview here, but there was another one, there was a third one that, in all honesty, we're probably not going to get to as in-depth as 6:35, so we'll get into that one here in just a couple minutes as well. Let's just jump right into it, Susie. Let's start with the basics, and then, like I said, we'll go into more depth around 6:35 because let's all get a chance to get our coffee and get going here. The birthright citizenship one. This is honestly my untrained mind. This is what I thought was going to happen. Was that I thought that the president's executive order was going to be struck down, and that's I didn't see any way that was going to be upheld, and that his interpretation of the 14th Amendment was going to be allowed to stand, especially through an executive order. But how was the breakdown of the justices, and then what's the basic meaning behind it? Then, like I said, we'll dig into more depth in about 25 minutes or so.
So I wasn't surprised by the ultimate outcome.
Right.
I too, and like most people who were carefully watching this, thought the executive order probably wasn't gonna stand. And I don't think President Trump was surprised by it either.
Yeah, I don't think he was.
But I did think that they might go more the way that Brett Kavanaugh did, and say now keep in mind you're talking about two different things. You're talking about the 14th Amendment itself, the language that was put in place in 1860, whatever, with an eye towards welcoming freed slaves into the citizenry and acknowledging their citizenship. And obviously that was not particularly geared at mass immigration, which is why it doesn't quite fit. But interpreting that language. But then there's also the statute under which people can become citizens. And what Brett Kavanaugh kind of did was split the baby and say, well, I'm not saying under the 14th Amendment you can never have some sort of like limitation on this, but under the statute, under the statute as currently written, the executive order doesn't stand up. That's where I thought they were going to maybe go. But they went further, and they basically said the 5, Kavanaugh did not, 5 of them said, I'm sorry, 4, I got to think about this for a second. Now I've forgotten the split, because Kavanaugh was kind of in the middle. So you had Barrett, so 5 of them said, no, it's not, under it's unconstitutional under the 14th Amendment, period.
Yeah, because you were a little surprised. I remember when you saw they actually ruled this on constitutional grounds.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought they were, because John Roberts is notorious for taking the narrowest path he possibly can to basically minimize the court's footprint in all of this and basically say, well, there's a little way we can punt here, so we're going to punt. And the fact that he didn't here is a little interesting to me. I'm like, well, is this this is going to be my legacy or what? I don't know. But anyway, so you had John Roberts, the Chief Justice, and Amy Coney Barrett aligning with the 3 liberal justices to basically say, no, this doesn't pass muster under the 14th Amendment. Right. Kavanaugh kind of gave that middle of the road thing, saying, I don't think that this forecloses the possibility that you could legislate and address this even with the language of the 14th Amendment, but I don't think this executive order does the trick. I think you have to go to Congress for this.
So if Congress were to pass some kind of law to say, okay, well, here's what it means, then that would probably have to go back up through the system.
It would end up going back up, but if they did it right, there's room for it to actually pass, to jibe with the 14th Amendment.
And so the bottom line on this is, other than the few, diplomats or the few exceptions that are out there as it is, essentially right now, the anchor baby thing is still real.
Right. Nothing has changed from a practical standpoint.
But that goes to show, and I'm going to connect two things on this. That shows you how crucial border security is and how crucial it has been to shut down illegal immigration in this country.
Yeah.
That this decision right here, whether you agree or disagree with it, it's the decision. But that shows you how crucial maintaining control of our borders actually is.
Yeah, and I want to say, I kind of got right into the nitty-gritty legal part of it, and just to back it up a little bit, really what, as it stands right now, anyone born on U.S. soil, with a few minor exceptions of diplomats, is considered a U.S. citizen. Right. And that doesn't matter whether their parents are here legally, illegally, temporarily, or whatever. That's what, yes, the practical effect of yesterday's ruling, which, of course, is why people are understandably upset. But I think if someone thought this court was going to lean in and say, yeah, this executive order is fine, I think they were probably not.
I didn't think there was
being realistic.
There was no chance that was going to happen.
The interesting thing is that then you've seen, a legislative response. Eric Schmidt and others have been proposing, a legislative avenue, kind of what Kavanaugh laid out in his concurrence. And, Mike Lee's proposing the constitutional amendment. Good luck with that.
Yeah, that's not happening.
I think we're stuck at 27.
Forever.
Indefinitely, anyway. But then you also saw the Department of Justice kick into high gear and say, okay, we're going to look really closely at any situations where someone is breaking the law in the process of trying to take advantage of this, system. Because there are people who are doing things shady, like, setting up whole rackets where people are brought over, but what they talk about, birth tourism. So there are, there can be criminal implications even with the current status. Yeah. So, I think the best thing, if you really want to get a good grip on it, is just look at how President Trump responded.
Yeah. Okay. And then 6:35, we're going to go into more depth on this. Okay. So let's talk about the sexually confused and sports and the laws what was decided there. Now, I think, caution a lot of people, because there are people who think this ruling banned all boys and men's from being a women's. It did not.
It did not.
No, that's the thing, is there are still deep, crazy blue left-wing states that devalue women enough.
Illinois is still going to Illinois. California's still going to California.
But it says that if the states do decide to protect girls and women, they're allowed to do that.
Yes, that is not a violation of the Equal Protection Clause or of Title IX for a state like Idaho or West Virginia to implement a law or Missouri. The Idaho and West Virginia were the two states at issue in these, and this was companion cases. This was actually two cases, but they were combined for the purposes of the Supreme Court argument and decision. But yes, the states can have those restrictions that limit participation in athletics to people's biological sex, that sort of thing.
Yeah, reality.
So
Yeah.
yes, so that's what it. Yeah, it doesn't ban it outright. California's still going to have the AB Hernandezes, but it allows the states that have already taken this action to say, no, you can do this.
Okay, so what's not getting as much attention just because it's being overshadowed was a campaign finance one. Now, the reality is that we may or may not be able to get to that at 6:35. Give us an overview of what happened in this one, because this has to do with political parties and campaign funding and things like that.
Yeah, basically the court struck down, there were federal statutory limits on how much political parties could coordinate with their candidates. So it wasn't about like spending limits, it was about how coordinated you could be. And this basically said that that's an infringement on the First Amendment.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit in the weeds. It's a little hyper technical, but it is a win. I mean, obviously the GOP, the NRCC, those organizations were very pleased with the outcome of this ruling.
So basically they could pick out and say, wait a minute, that's a swing state. We've got to win this one. We can go all in.
Well, and here's the other thing to keep in mind. If you look right now at where the parties are relative to their finances, the GOP is fat.
Oh, yeah.
And the DNC is like in debt. So this is going to play out in the midterm elections, the level of coordination, and it's going to be much easier for the Republicans than it is for the Democrats.
Okay, so good for the Republicans, maybe not so good for the Democrats, but from a constitutional free speech perspective, put your lawyer hat on.
Perfectly fine.
Okay,
yeah.
good
Yeah,
ruling
the way that it had been written was it was an infringement on the First Amendment. It was basically limiting how you could interact with people and what you could say, and it was an improper way.
So we've got free speech, maybe freedom of association type of issues here.
Yeah.
On that one. So any surprises on that one?
No, it was 6-3.
Oh,
it was, that one was completely predictable. Really, the transgender one was predictable as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
and then was that 6-3 as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So neither one of those was a surprise. The only reason the birthright citizenship ruling was a surprise was because of how, what they based it on ultimately and how they aligned.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's time to light your hair on fire.
No.
I really, really don't. And I understand why people are frustrated by it, but an executive order isn't the optimal way to do this anyway.
No, the executive
order... You want
order,
something more lasting.
Yeah. Trump's been he issued, 100 executive orders in like the first week or two of this term of his presidency. And in some ways, executive orders are not supposed to be laws.
No.
Now sometimes he's done this where he's crazy like a fox because he wants to put it in front of the Supreme Court. You got to understand the strategy. Other times he has tried to write laws with executive orders by default, and that's not
pushing
constitutional.
The envelope every which way he can, recognizing he's not going to win them all.
Right. And then what executive orders are supposed to be, and this isn't a critique just of Trump, it's also of Biden, it's also of Bush and Obama and Clinton and even not so much Reagan. He kept his executive orders generally in line, but executive orders were supposed to be, this is how I'm going to run the executive branch. This affects our operations, not stroke of the pen law of the land, which is what Clinton kind of made infamous back in the 90s on this. But that's what executive orders are supposed to be. And what's happening now is, well, let's see what we can get away with. If we go too far, then the courts will strike it down. But in the meantime, give it a go.
It's true.
Not exactly constitutional, but that's the reality of today's politics.
It is. Now, the gang wars of St. Louis County. I'm just reading this for the first time, just so you know, a little insight here. The gang wars, okay. Sam Page wants us to believe he's protecting administration officials from getting beat up by the elected ones or something like that. Yeah, I'm as confused as you are, but we're going to clear that up when we come back at 6:20.
Oh, no, we're not. We're just going to tell you what's happening. You're going to be as confused at the end of the discussion as you are at the beginning of it.
We're just going to talk about it more.
Because it's Sam Page.
Indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away. You wanna do that now? Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Mike Ferguson.
6 a.m. and already the boy ain't right.
On News Talk STL.
Labor
Laborers International Union of North America, Local 110, was formed in 1933 and from the beginning has strived for progress and the well-being of others. The laborers of Local 110 are hardworking men and women who take pride in their great work. They are the fastest-growing union of construction workers and one of the most effective unions representing plants and quarries. Laborers Local 110 has the best medical benefits, pension, education, and heavy construction training in the market. Visit lu110.com and start your future today.
Oh, Hank, what a wonderful spider web you have built for us. I love this fabulous space we have right here in the corner of the kitchen.
Thanks, Charlotte. I think I'll build us a vacation web in the coat closet. Oh no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Hi, I'm Rodney Wallner.
And I'm Jen Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Jen, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission plan?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What's the best time to sell your home?
Right now, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Part of our special SRN News Faith and Freedom series, we've asked people in all walks of life what makes America so unique. Today, we hear from documentary filmmaker Stephen Briggs, originally from Great Britain, who is another one-time foreigner whose love for America is obvious.
There is a reason why the whole world wants a green card. There is a reason why people have been flocking in from South America into North America, and obviously a desire for migration. There is a jealousy amongst the nations for what this nation has become, and there is a need for what puts united in states, and the character that is required for a United States is that which has the Judeo-Christian worldview as its foundation.
Stephen Briggs, host of Israel Matters podcast and documentary filmmaker of America and the Israel Effect. This is SRN News.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening, but they fought with expert timing.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
Oh, that's one of your best ones yet, Jerome. I like that one. Thank you. That's right. Okay, so Sam Page thinks a county council member wants to beat up administration officials.
What?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he actually thinks that, but he's playing it up. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so here's what's going on. Sam Page writes a letter and announces it's actually in your stack of papers there, Susie, if you want to see it. He has banned the department heads of the county from meeting with county council members to talk about the budget, like in private, in their offices, to go over the line by line, because that's the complaint that the council's had is we've got a couple departments where the department heads, particularly the health department, we need to meet with them to go over this so we can get a feel for what it is you want so we can budget everything. And he says that in order to protect their safety, physical safety, because Shalonda Webb, he's accusing Shalonda Webb of claiming she wants to punch the health director in the mouth. So for their safety, they're not permitted to meet with county council members because Sam Page says that it's for their safety to protect them from getting, I guess, beat up by the county council members. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
You've got the letter right there.
I know. I'm looking at it. I'm
not making this up.
No, you're not making it up. Okay, so when you first started talking about this, my mind went in the partisan mode, and I was like, does he really think Dennis Hancock or Mike Archer or Mark Harder's going to like get physical with a department. Like, what?
No, don't worry about those guys. Worry about Shalonda Webb.
He's worried about someone from his own party. So this
Yeah.
isn't okay. But there's animosity. There's bad blood between Page and Webb and Rita Her Days.
Well, and to be fair, she was in a scrap a few months ago, like a physical
say,
scrap.
Was it Shalonda that was in the physical altercation?
Yeah.
She was
with the other Democratic women. Yeah.
Okay. Do we know? Did she in fact make this threat?
Okay. According to Page, and he says, well, a bunch of my people heard her say that.
Well, okay. According to Page, makes me discount it automatically.
Then we've got nothing.
Okay.
Yeah. I was actually texting with a couple members of the council last night. Sorry, during the meeting we were, and one of them replied back. He goes, "This is BS."
Okay.
And the other one is like, "This is absolute nonsense."
So something's being trumped up, basically.
Yeah. And so Sam Page, now he says, well, we're going to have to do all these like line by line stuff. We're going to do it all in public, which, okay, I guess that's fine. If you want to have 6-hour meetings or whatever, I mean, you can do that. But like when I spoke with Mark Harder, when I spoke with Mike Archer, I've spoke with Dennis Hancock, they're all saying, we have to approve this budget. We're in a budget deficit. We have to watch Shalonda Webb has said this. Rita Her Days has said this. I mean, it has nothing to do with Republican or Democrat. They basically said, we need the information so that we can only approve what needs to be spent and save as much money as possible.
Okay, here's my other question.
Yeah.
Up until Sam's decree here, were the department heads meeting with individual council members like one by one?
Yeah, because what would happen
or
is...
each of them had they weren't meeting with each of them one by one. Basically, each council person had several different departments that they were meeting with.
Yeah, they were kind of taking the lead on them.
Divvied up.
Yeah, but the code of the road has basically been, hey, it's budget time. Need to get a feel for this. When can you stop by the office? Let's go through this kind of stuff. Listen, I've been elected to office. I've had times where, hey, need to meet with. Now, I was in a small town, so it's like 25,000 people. So I would run in as an alderman, to that department, like the Parks and Rec guy, and just hey, let me run by the community center where the office was. Explain this to me. Okay,
right.
Here's what you want. Okay, got it. What about this? Okay, that's the stuff that happens all the time. But now Sam Page is making this big show of the safety and Shalonda Webb's bullying, and they feel unsafe. I doubt it. And so the accusation is that Shalonda Webb said, I want to punch Kamika Cunningham in the mouth, the health director. And he says, well, Doug Moore has heard this and some other people have heard her say that. And so therefore none of them are allowed to go anywhere near one-on-one with any of the county council members. Because apparently you think Dennis Hancock is going to, body slam you?
Yeah.
Is that what you think? I mean, is Mike Archer going to do an RKO on you? I mean, a little St. Louis reference there from Randy Orton, just saying. I mean,
that was my initial thought. I was like, I don't understand this concept.
Mark, I'm going to go old school here. Is Mark Harder and Dennis Hancock going to do a double drop kick like the Rock and Roll Express used to do back in the 80s?
Right.
I'm just saying. No, it's not. It's Sam Page being Sam Page, and Sam Page trying to. I mean, he doesn't realize how irrelevant that he actually is, and this is just one of the dumbest things that I have seen. Now, listen, if Shalonda Webb it can't get along with Dr. Cunningham, or they, Rita Her Days and Sam Page, have a face off like they did last week at the meeting, that sort of thing. And you say, you know what, this is an unprofessional environment. So, we're not going to, I'm going to ask that, multiple people be in the meeting, but that's not what he said. He's like, for their safety, for their physical safety, none of the directors are going to be allowed to meet with any of the county council members.
Okay, drama queen.
Yeah, really.
I don't know, Mike. I was walking through a dark alley, and somebody said, hey, kid, want to join the council?
They're a pretty shady group. Pretty shady.
I had to hold on to my wallet extra tight.
That's right.
And I don't
think, always hold on your wallet with politicians,
no
matter what.
True.
Yeah.
Definitely true. It sounds like Shalonda has not responded to this yet. Okay,
she denied it, but yeah.
Okay, I was looking at what it said on the sheet.
Yeah.
So let's just assume for argument's sake that she made the comment that
sure.
Okay, yeah. The correct answer to that is, okay, well, we're not going to require people to have one-on-one meetings so that there is no one feeling concerned or unsafe or whatever. Let's do this where you've got, a couple different people in the meeting. Or here's an idea. How about saying, let's sit down. Shalonda, Kanika, let's sit down, all of us, and have a conversation.
Right.
Not you can't talk to them.
Yeah. I mean, this is just.
I mean, I'm not even sure that's legal. And I would almost suspect there might be an issue, I don't know. Could there be a First Amendment issue?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know the answer. Now, he says this was, he met with all department heads at their request. So that's how he's
they're dying to talk to you, Sam, because you're such an inspiring leader.
Yeah, and they know they're going to hitch their political career wagon to you, and you're going to be gone by January.
No, I'm not going to say it. But, yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. First of all, it's ridiculous overreaction. Yeah. Even if you take at face value what he's claiming happened, which I don't because it's Sam Page.
There are plenty of times where people routinely will say stuff that by the words are threats, but we don't really mean them. Now, if she said, I should punch her in the mouth or whatever, you shouldn't say that as an elected official.
Right, I agree.
Now, whether she said it or not remains, who knows? It's she said versus he said and all that kind of stuff. But how many times is like somebody annoys you, like, I'm going to kick your butt, and you don't really mean it, but in this context, if
to the moon, Alice.
Right, yeah, precisely, yeah. And so, it's just Sam Page jumping on anything to try to assert that I'm the real leader. No, you're not, Sam. You're not.
I really wonder about those department heads, too. Like, how many of them? I mean, they're heading up a department in a decent-sized county. They've got some degree of leadership and capability, executive experience, that sort of thing themselves. You would think that they should be able to stand up for themselves and say, I'm fine with meeting with whoever. I'm capable of this. Or, hey, let's have 3 or 4 people in the meeting just so there is nothing that gets misconstrued.
Yeah, because the going through the numbers should be one of the most boring and least
pistols at dawn is not really the way these conversations should be going.
Oh, my God.
If they are, there's something fundamentally wrong with our county governance.
And that's not the only thing going on with the St. Louis County government. I've got this in the news dump here in a little bit.
Okay.
Channel 4 has a story. There are multiple people now who are saying, I paid the property tax bill. Why are you still billing me and fining me? Because the county government didn't get around to posting the payment and crediting them with the payment, and they've got the receipts, and they still can't get the problem fixed.
That does not surprise me because I've run into some issues as well.
Yeah, so that's going to happen as well. So while Sam Page, walks around being all...
It's because of those Friday breaks.
That's what it is. Good God. Oh, man.
The Supreme Court has spoken, and the decisions handed down are big ones. We'll dissect what they mean for us coming up here at 6:35.
From funky Chinatown, they were chopping them up, they were chopping them down. It's an ancient Chinese art, and everybody knew their part.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
The strong protecting the weak and the good defeating evil.
On News Talk STL. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to continue to track temperatures back towards the upper 90s today, with it feels like temperature reaching up to 107 degrees in some areas. Mostly sunny skies going to be on deck today. From Thursday lasting through Saturday, we continue our first alert weather day coverage as we continue to surge back towards the triple digits for our heat index values. We'll continue to look at some isolated chances of showers and storms from the afternoon hours lasting towards the early overnight hours each day. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
1 in 4 women will have an abortion before the age of 45 in this country. That's the tragedy we must work to stop. Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show here, and that is why Reach Reproductive Health is here, to empower parents to save the lives of innocent children and to see these families come to Christ. And you can be a part of saving and changing lives. So pray and visit outreachforlife.org to learn more, volunteer, and donate. That's outreachforlife.org.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo, and it's tough to pick, but my favorite sandwich at Capriotti's is the cheesesteak with a side of Cap's awesome fries. Visit Capriotti's now at 2 locations on Manchester at McKnight and Rock Hill, and now in Creve Coeur on Olive, just 1 mile west of 270.
Looking to celebrate the 4th of July with a bang? Then look no further than Powder Monkey Fireworks. We've got bottle rockets, fountains, cakes, mortars. Our selection is endless with low prices and no gimmicks. Our friendly, knowledgeable staff will help you choose the perfect fireworks to make your holiday unforgettable. You'll go bananas at Powder Monkey, Highway 94 in St. Charles, on Westwood in Weldon Spring, and on Brendel in Rocky Mount. Don't want to fight the crowds? Order online at powdermonkeyfireworks.com.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
This is Tony Kinnett from the Daily Signal's Tony Kinnett Cast, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, 6:33 right now. Birthright citizenship and the sexually confused in sports. Okay, these were the two big key factors and two big rulings from the U.S. Supreme Court that was handed down on Tuesday, obviously. So we're now joined by Joe Luppino from the Pacific Legal Foundation. Hopefully I got your last name pronounced right there, Joe. Appreciate you being on the program here. So let's dissect what some of these things mean. We were trying to do a little bit of an overview a bit ago here on the program, Joe. There are the basic nuts and bolts, and then there's the temptation, I think, of us to get worked up over the decisions and then run off down the rabbit hole and look at these things as something they're actually not. Let's start with the birthright citizenship ruling. This one seems fairly, I wouldn't say cut and dry, but it basically came down to the Supreme Court saying the president's interpretation in the executive order of the 14th Amendment is not valid. Like it, don't like it. We decide that the 14th Amendment says if you're born in the United States on U.S. soil, therefore you're a U.S. citizen, regardless of what your status or your parents are. Obviously, there's a few, diplomatic exceptions and things like that. But for the most part, conservatives don't like the ruling. But what does it actually mean? And then I think that also shows how important things like border security policy are.
Yes, you're exactly right. These are the types of issues that are a little easier to read just in the way they wrote the opinion. So the issue is coming down to, where the Constitution lies. And really what Robert said in the opinion was, well, there's always an opportunity for a constitutional amendment. Sure, I guess that's always a possibility. But the truth is this is how it's going to stand most likely for at least some time. Justice Kavanaugh did have sort of what I'm sure he might have written as almost a compromise position to say that this is actually a statutory issue and not a constitutional issue, and therefore could be overcome by passing a different law. But that did not win the day. So he also thought it was invalid. But on the actual constitutional question, the split was actually 5-4. And I think you're right. This is now where the focus will shift, I think, in politics and in Washington is, all right, well, knowing that anyone who comes here, whether it's through birth tourism, whether it's through somebody just crossing the border sort of at the right time or even years earlier and they're here illegally when they have a child, that is going to be the main thing that we are going to we're going to have to look at from an immigration policy standpoint, that this is going to continue to stand as we had believed it was prior to this decision as well.
Good morning, Joe. This is Susie Moore. Like many, I felt like this was the executive order was going to be struck down. I also thought perhaps the court might take that middle of the road approach that Kavanaugh did and say, not make it a definitive determination under the Constitution, but instead look to the statute. We've seen immediately after the ruling, several Congress members kind of lean into, okay, we're going to try and take a statutory, run at this and amend the applicable provisions and see if we cannot thread that needle, if you will. I think everyone recognizes the thought of getting a constitutional amendment done on this is pie in the sky at best. But do you see a way forward if they can get legislation, and that's a big if too, passed that directly addresses this, where that would then withstand the constitutional challenge?
It's hard to see how they could thread the needle because they so explicitly said this is a 14th Amendment issue. This is where it should be. That said, another challenge to the law, maybe with a different makeup of the court, things could be different. Or, as Justice Alito said in his dissent, as Justice Thomas said as well, hey, I don't know if this is going to stand the test of time. Like there's going to be a time where this gets challenged again, and we may look at this thing differently. Justice Thomas is really focused a lot on domicile. Justice Alito just sort of looking at it from the perspective of, we did not adopt a feudal system here. That's kind of the way he couched what the majority opinion was saying, no, we had a new founding that did not talk about this. They talked about subjects in those rules. They did not talk about citizens. So this is a whole different thing. So I think if something that happened in the next year or two, going to be a lot harder. If we're talking 10, 15 years down the road, then there could be some space there with a new court and really new circumstances that make the political realities a little different for how the court may view it.
We're visiting with Joe Luppino-Esposito from our friends at the Pacific Legal Foundation. Okay, I want to just wrap up this one because I want to talk about the whole Title IX and sports, women in sports situation here in a second as well. But a lot of this, Joe, come down to, okay, here's what the 14th Amendment text, the actual words say, versus people pointing out, but that's not what they meant at the time. Those words meant something different at the time. They were referring to freed slaves. They weren't referring to mass immigration, which I think you can make that argument and say that's exactly what was meant at the time that the constitutional amendment was written and passed. However, that's what the actual words say.
Yes, that is a big piece of the argument, saying, what do those phrases, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, really mean? And that's where you get into this battle from the dissent saying that they are misinterpreting it. I think it was particularly interesting that, Justice Thomas, I believe his dissent was 91 pages long. And it seemed almost like a joke that toward the end he said, the majority says that my evidence is scant. I disagree because, he went through about 50 pages just to get it going as to the importance of domicile in that calculation. So that is kind of ultimately where they landed on it. And, again, with the originalist or textualist view of things and how the court looks at it, including the more liberal justices, as Justice Kagan once said, we're all originalists now, right? Everyone's trying to do the analysis from that standpoint, and that's kind of where they had the fight. And the folks that won the day were obviously with the chief in upholding birthright citizenship.
I don't want to get too philosophical here, Joe, but I do have to ask this. To me, this seemed like breaking with Robert's tradition of taking the narrowest path possible to decide these sorts of things. It seems more often than not that if there's a way for the court to punt, he will find it. And since he took the lead on this one especially, I was a little surprised that he leaned so far into this one. Did anything about that?
Like a constitutional
perspective, when there was a narrower way to rule on this, did that surprise you at all?
Yeah, actually, that was the same thought I had. Especially running up to this, all the prognosticating as to what the count was going to be. My best bet kind of going in was, well, there'll be some discussion on domicile. And maybe there's going to be 2 votes for that concept, but maybe if he's going to go for a big swing, he's going to have to get at least 7 votes in order to do that, or he's going to go the more narrow route and just get a smaller ruling. And yeah, he kind of went with the latter that I didn't expect to see the big swing and then those smaller numbers. So it really portrayed a very divided court on, I think, an issue he would have liked to have seen the court kind of come down strongly, presumably in the position that he believes in. But for him to take that big swing and then keep the opinion for himself, not surprising at all. But in the end, that vote count for what he went for seems a little odd, like you said, based on his history.
All right, the voice you're hearing right now is Joe Luppino-Esposito from our friends at the Pacific Legal Foundation. Okay, the other big one now, there was the campaign finance one. I don't know if we're going to have time to get into that, but in the last few minutes we've got here, Joe, the ruling regarding boys and men in girls and women's sports. Now, this is one of those where I think it's real easy for people to read into the ruling things that aren't there. But what this basically is, I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong or tell me if I'm right, it comes down to, yes, states can stick with actual biological reality, not the so-called gender identity thing. And if a state wants to protect women's sports from the gender confused or gender dysphoric boys and men, they're allowed to do that, because I've heard people say, for instance, the court has banned trans athletes from competing, and there's nothing of the sort in that.
No, you're absolutely correct. It is sort of, can the bans withhold constitutional scrutiny, and that's what the court says that they do. And I think that's some of the criticism I saw from some folks, particularly on the right, saying, well, why didn't they take the bigger swing and just say, no, like there cannot be any biological men in women's sports? Per the last question, that's not the question that they were looking at, right? So it was very narrow, in that the people who were challenging these laws based on either the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment or under Title IX, are these bans allowed to stand? And the court said, yeah, absolutely, they can stand. And, it was an ideological split, not surprising at all. That's kind of how all these cases have shook out. But, yeah, that's exactly, you nailed it exactly.
So then, of course, these issues are never really truly done and settled, even when we think they are, because the next step seems to me to be challenges to, for instance, states like Washington or California or Illinois, where they do have laws that permit males to participate in female sports. And someone's going to challenge that and say, this is, this is violating my rights in some way. I'm sure those cases are already kind of percolating. And it's not entirely clear what the court would do with something like that.
That's right. Yeah, I think that's where the next challenge is coming. You sort of had, all right, these are the challenges coming from the people in the red states, and the court basically said, yes, sanity can rule the day in those states. But in your other states where they have the opposite thing in effect, where does that stand? And that's exactly right. Those cases are starting to percolate up now. And they're going to make that same argument, I think, again, as to what are you entitled to have, as a woman in women's sports. Is there an equal protection or a Title IX violation by letting biological men go into that field, literally and figuratively? And that's, I think, where the court will see it. It doesn't look like there's anything set for the next term on that, but it'll be soon enough.
Yeah, and just last minute we've got, I like how you put that, where you say, in this case, the ruling is, sanity can rule the day in these sports here. I mean, at some point, does the question from those states that Susie just listed, does the court say, well, insanity can rule the day if that's the people that were elected by the people? Because if and when those laws are challenged, allowing the men and the boys into the girls' sports and locker rooms and things like that, wasn't what was decided essentially the right of the state to pass those laws? And so on the other side, it wouldn't be whether or not the states are allowed to, it's whether somebody's rights are being violated in that case. So, I mean, it would be a totally different discussion at that point, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely right. Yeah, it then comes down to what is sort of the outer limit, whether it gets challenged under Title IX or equal protection or another theory as to what the individual's rights are in that particular situation. Are they going to say it's compelling enough that you should not have to either share a locker room or take the same field as somebody or compete against them if they're of the opposite sex? And again, that could also turn on particular circumstances. Maybe there's an issue regarding privacy in the locker room, but hey, if you're on the lacrosse field and there's a guy there and his team, well, so be it. Kind of not our problem, and not compelling enough to step in.
Yeah. All right, Joe. Let's go ahead and we've already tagged you in Pacific Legal on social media. People want to follow your work, that are your colleagues' website. What's the way to be in touch?
Yeah, pacificlegal.org is the way to find us. And you can find all the cases that we're working on. A lot of them getting to the Supreme Court, and a lot of things working through the states and federal courts as well.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Doing good work there. All right. It's not the Jets and the Sharks. It's in West Side Story. It's the administration and the council, starring in Clayton's story. We'll unpack the drama in the news dump at 6:50.
It already happened. I'm like, what's that itching on my leg? And you feel now you got that little bump. Mosquito bite, first one of the year. Happened. I was out at one of my ball games, and mosquito got me. Don't let that happen in your backyard. Are you tired of being the main course at your own backyard barbecue? Because 'tis the season for this. All this rain we've been getting, that's a lot of standing water. Guess who loves standing water? Mosquitoes. That's where the eggs are laid. That's where we get more mosquitoes. You need to talk to my friends at the Mosquito SWAT Team. Mike Ferguson here for the Mosquito SWAT Team, and you can find them at themosquitoswatteam.com. Listen, they custom make the solutions for your home. They don't just show up and say, here's the chemical we use. They have safe, they have bee-friendly, pollinator-friendly, solutions to keep the mosquitoes away from your family, away from your friends, away from your home. They can treat it and protect your family. So get a hold of them today, themosquitoswatteam.com, or you can email them, themosquitoswatteam@gmail.com. They are here in St. Louis. This is a family-run, family-owned business, and every single tech that they have is certified. They know what they are doing, and they will custom make the solution for your family. Find out more, themosquitoswatteam.com, and tell them that, hey, Mike was telling me about you on the radio. Let them know.
News, analysis.
I'm glad you're talking about this.
Opinion.
I'm glad you're fired up about it, too, because I know I am.
News Talk STL.
Public schools, like public libraries, should be free and open to all. Open enrollment allows parents to choose the school that's the best fit for their children. Maybe another school has a wider curriculum, is bigger or smaller. Maybe a kid is being bullied and would be more comfortable at another school. 75% of parents favor open enrollment. Open enrollment programs now exist in 43 states, and Missouri should join them. Our next-door neighbor, Kansas, has one of the strongest open enrollment policies in the nation. Kansas parents are trusted with choices and options, while Missouri parents must move out of their home to change public schools. And it's a trend. Nationwide, the percentage of students going to their chosen public school has steadily increased. Assigning kids to schools based on their zip code is the old way. Open enrollment is a better way. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
You know I'd like to believe this nervousness will pass. All the stones that are thrown are building up a wall. I have become
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy, Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, the Supreme Court speaks, and now America debates the decisions. Also, wow, did NPR get that one wrong? Oh, my goodness. Yeah. We're going to get into that in a second.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and dysfunction in St. Louis County government is now at comical levels. All right, 6:50 right now. Let's jump right into the news dump here.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Whistle Pig Outdoors.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
The Supreme Court rejects President Trump's executive order that was aimed at ending birthright citizenship for children born to non-citizens in the U.S. Speaking to reporters, House Democratic Caucus Chair Pete Aguilar, he, as you would probably expect, celebrates the decision.
Republicans are not serious about this issue. It's always been about politics, and we'll see how the president, responds to this. But I'm sure he'll, there'll be a couple hundred words that he'll put out. But this was the right decision. The crazy part is that it wasn't a unanimous decision.
Vice President J.D. Vance was on Fox's The Ingram Angle responding to the ruling.
Fundamentally, what we're talking about is fixing a problem the Supreme Court created. We also want to look over the long term at undoing that problem to begin with, because, again, this was only a 5-4 decision.
So the ruling strikes down one of President Trump's executive orders, finding that it was in violation of the 14th Amendment. That is Basically, not a huge surprise. I don't know that the count makes any difference. I mean, the ruling is the ruling.
No, but when it's that close, that tells you that it may not withstand the test of time. There might be ways to chip away at it, basically.
Yeah. And to some degree, some of the justices laid out a playbook to say, listen, if you want to make changes on this, here are some options.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. The Supreme Court also deciding, this was a 6-3 ruling, that males who want to pretend to be females cannot compete in women's sports, at least in states that don't allow that, particularly in those states. I'm looking at the news copy right here. There's so much wrong with it that I'm editing it in my head.
I know. I'm editing an article right now that I'm having to kind of
let me tell you,
shift the language.
Let me
on
tell
a
you
little
how
bit.
this was actually written. The Supreme Court deciding 6-3 that transgender athletes can't compete in women's sports. Period. That's not what it
that's
says.
not what it
happened.
just. Oh my God.
First of all, there's no such thing as transgender. Let's just put that out there. That's why I'm editing there. But that's not what they ruled. Missouri Senate candidate Michelle Tafoya,
Michigan.
I'm sorry, what did I say? Minnesota. Yeah, well, it says Minnesota, Michigan. Sorry.
Oh wait, she might be Minnesota, but you said Missouri. That's what.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Senate candidate Michelle Tafoya. Let's put it that way.
There we go. Perfect.
Who knows a thing or two about sports, having covered sports on national news for so long. She was on Fox's The Will Cain Show reacting to that ruling.
This is undeniable fact. Boys and men are boys and men. Girls and women are girls and women. You can identify as whatever you want. That's not the issue here. It's when it comes to fairness in sports.
The ACLU calls the ruling heartbreaking. The ACLU, once again, is just plain wrong. Okay. NPR is apologizing for a completely false report about Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito. Reporter Nina Totenberg posted a story saying that Alito is retiring. Now, that story was also reported on the air across the nation. It is flat out false. Yeah. Totenberg later admitted that she heard secondhand information that she now admits that she misheard. So she misheard the secondhand information. She then made an assumption and then ran with the story nationwide. NPR says it profoundly regrets the error.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I wonder why people lose trust in journalists.
Well, okay. First of all, regardless of what her history is, she's been in the business long enough that not to make a rookie mistake like that, which is what makes me think that's not exactly what happened.
Yeah, this is what ends internships.
Yeah.
In small market media, or at least
to say, I heard someone say something about retirements, and I immediately thought it was Alito, and I had the pre-written story ready to go and ran with it. I'm calling BS. Yeah. I'm calling she got a leak or a tip that was perhaps put there intentionally.
Right. Ooh. Trying to put some pressure,
Oh, well, no, or to ferret out who might be a leaker.
Right. Yeah, that was, NPR posted a whole description. Here's how this happened.
Oh, yeah, they had the article pre-written, which is, okay, fine.
Well, that happens. Listen, that is, I have pre-written articles.
But to leap that far, that quickly on what she heard.
And then go into detail on, well, here's how it happened, as though we're going to read that. I read that and went, now you sound even worse than you started with.
No. I think she was fed bad information, and I think that might have been intentional.
Just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. All right, you pay the bill, and that's the end of it until next year, right? Nope.
Sure.
Nope. You would be wrong, Susie, in thinking that. In St. Louis County, multiple homeowners say they paid the property tax bill, but the payments were not posted in the system. Channel 4's got the story on their website. The homeowners are not only still receiving bills for what they already paid and paid on time and have the receipts for, they're being charged large late fees and penalties. The acting director of revenue, Erica Savage, blames the problem on the vendor used to process the payments.
Yeah, well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Gotta fix that.
All right, there's a boil advisory in effect for parts of the city, affecting both large parts of North and South St. Louis. Now, in North City, the Hamilton Heights, Kingsway West, and Wells Goodfellow neighborhoods are affected. Much of South City, including, but there are others, I just don't have time to read them all. High Point, Clayton Tam, Tower Grove, Gravois Park, Benton Park West neighborhoods, all affected by this, among some others. So there's no danger that's been actually detected, but the loss of pressure in the water lines is causing the precaution. So any water you'd consume or use to wash dishes or prepare food, it should be boiled for a few minutes, or just go buy some bottled water at the store. They hope today or tomorrow to have the testing in that shows that everything's just fine. But as of right now, in large parts of the city, contact her. Just look at the City Hall website. They'll have a map, and they'll tell you whether or not you're affected by that. Okay, let's see here. The Cardinals start their series with the Braves off with a 5-3 win. Matthew Liberatore pitching 5 innings, giving up only 1 hit, 1 run. That 1 run came on a sacrifice fly. Both Nelson Velasquez and Nathan Church hit home runs in the 4th inning for the Redbirds. Second game of the series, which is in Atlanta, is tonight. That starts at 6:15. Michael McGreevy scheduled to start for the Cardinals. It's way too early to say, well, the Cardinals have to have a big series win here. But the reality is that they have to stop the skid downward in the division. They really need to sort of steady things out because they had a rough week and a half or so leading up to this one. So we'll see where it goes from here.
If you love your pet, which I know you do, then they deserve the excellent treatment and care they'll receive at Pacific Animal Hospital in Pacific, Missouri, a full-service veterinarian facility. Originally built and grown by my dad, Dr. Bill Jones, a new generation of wonderful veterinarians and staff at Pacific continue to provide outstanding medical, surgical, dental, boarding, and grooming services for your favorite furry friends. Our family entrusts the care of our pets only to the experienced docs and staff at Pacific Animal Hospital. You should too. Call them today, 636-257-2100, 24/7 at PacificVets.com, PacificVets.com.
This is Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the #1 RE/MAX franchise in the region. As a licensed real estate broker with RE/MAX Results for over 20 years, I've seen the ups and downs of many real estate markets, including the one we're in right now. With the spring market in full swing, now is the time to leap into the buying or selling of your home. Someday is not a day. Today is the day to make your move. Call me at 314-852-8933 or email me at markhardersells@gmail.com.
Hey parents, Kids Sunday returns to the ballpark on Sunday, July 12th when the Cardinals host the Braves. That day, kids 12 and under can score a replica Cardinals jersey presented by Stiefel. This jersey is perfect for game days, school days, and all season long. Plus, kids run the bases after the game. Enjoy Kids Sunday every Sunday home game with free ice cream, Team Fredbird, music, and more. Make it a Sunday fun day for the whole family. Get your tickets now at cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Michael McGreevy. See you at the ballpark.
B is for baseball. On Sunday, July 12th, when the Cards take on the Braves, it's Sesame Street Day. Celebrate the iconic show that shaped generations with a day full of family fun at the ballpark. With the purchase of a special theme ticket, fans can choose between an exclusive Oscar the Grouch bobblehead or a Grover plush wearing a Cardinals jersey. Pick your favorite and join the fun. Get your tickets now at cardinals.com/theme.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. It is one hot holiday week for millions of people across the Midwest. The Great Lakes, the Mid-Atlantic, the Southeast, the Northeast, intense heat and humidity settling in. No immediate relief in sight.
It is so humid that it's difficult. Okay, because like in a tent, there's not much you can do but sleep, really, anyways. And it is so humid that it is impossible to sleep. I'm telling you, unless you're just physically exhausted.
He was interviewed at a cooling center in Marietta, Georgia. Ray Dawson is there as well. He's homeless.
I can't find no shelter nowhere. I'm no shade nowhere, and it's hot. And most of the stores won't give you no water.
The National Weather Service says conditions are more than uncomfortable. They're downright dangerous. The heat index topping 100 degrees in some areas. The heat index is how it feels when the air temperature and the humidity are combined. President Trump is urging Congress to do something about birthright citizenship. This after the Supreme Court struck down Mr. Trump's executive order that limited birthright citizenship. In the meantime, the president is applauding a separate Supreme Court ruling.
President Trump taking to his Truth Social page, reacting to the Supreme Court ruling in favor of Idaho and West Virginia banning transgender athletes from competing in women's sports. The president writing in all caps the 2 words, big win. Then he goes on to say the United States Supreme Court just ruled against men playing in women's sports. Wow, that takes that ridiculous situation off the table. 3 explanation points.
Correspondent Laura Winters. A Democratic socialist beats a 30-year incumbent in Colorado's Democratic primary for the U.S. House, 1st District, Denver. 29-year-old former lawyer Mila Quiros beat veteran Congresswoman Diana DeGette. On Wall Street this morning, Dow futures down 144 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Health insurance rates are surging in America, leaving millions without affordable options. If you're sick of having paychecks eaten up by healthcare costs or dealing with mega corporations, then listen to this. Christians don't need to waste money on a broken system. That's why I want to tell you about Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's an alternative to traditional health insurance at half the cost. With CHM, fellow believers contribute monthly to help pay each other's medical bills. There's no enrollment period, so you can join anytime. And you aren't restricted to provider networks, so you choose the doctors and hospitals you want. It's that simple. CHM is not insurance. It's a ministry that puts faith into action. Feel the difference of financial support and biblical care from fellow believers. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
From the NewsTalk-STL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to continue to track temperatures back towards the upper 90s today, but it feels like temperature reaching up to 107 degrees in some areas. Mostly sunny skies going to be on deck today. From Thursday lasting through Saturday, we continue our first alert weather day coverage as we continue to surge back towards the triple digits for our heat index values. We'll continue to look at some isolated chances of showers and storms from the afternoon hours lasting towards the early overnight hours each day. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch.
This hour of NewsTalk-STL brought to you by Window World of St. Louis. For replacement windows, doors, and siding, call 800-GET-WINDOWS. That's 800-GET-WINDOWS.
Tim Jones here to introduce you to your new favorite roofing company, Corel Roofing. There were 4 major storms last year. Did your roof take a hit? Do you even know? Most homeowner insurance policies require claims to be filed within 1 year, so time's running out for a closer look. At Corel Roofing Company, you get a local roofing specialist who will advocate for you every step of the way. Give yourself peace of mind. Schedule your roof inspection today with Corel Roofing at CorelRoofingCo.com. That's CorelRoofingCo.com.
Are you tired of hard chlorinated water drying your skin out, tasting bad, and ruining your fixtures? Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to this pollution. Our Hydratech H2O leaves you with great tasting, soft water at all fixtures in your home with 1 unit. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit us on the web at joneswater.com. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
Mike Ferguson.
What is that private pile? Sir, jelly donut, sir. A jelly donut?
Susie Moore.
Mama don't like tattletales.
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on NewsTalk STL.
All right, let's talk a little America 250. America's birthday coming up, right? We think of him as the father of the nation. We think of him as our first president. You hear General Washington, even Colonel Washington, historically speaking. But should we also think of George Washington as the businessman and the entrepreneur?
Ooh.
And why does that matter as well? I mean, I've been trying all this week because we've got so much news that's going on that I wanted to say, let's look at America 250. Let's look at the celebration of the milestone, but let's look at where it all started. And obviously, George Washington, huge part of that, of course. And we're now joined by John Berlau from a Competitive Enterprise Institute. And John, when you're on the show, we're usually talking about something regulatory. We're usually talking about something, policy-wise, economic-wise, things like this. But you've got to look at George Washington, the businessman, George Washington, the entrepreneur. Matter of fact, you can find the link at CEI's website, George Washington's marvelous list of liberties and grievances. But that also looks into his business acumen. Why does that part of the story of George Washington get lost in history so much, and why should we pay more attention to it?
Mike, well, thank you for having me on. Yes, as I write, for CEI and in my book, George Washington Entrepreneur, which is on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, other book venues, George Washington Entrepreneur. The Washington story of entrepreneurship, of the businesses he built, the whiskey distillery, the flour mill, grist mill, the mule breeding business, show that America was rooted in capitalism, and that Washington, there's strong evidence that he read, Adam Smith, who laid out the foundations of capitalism. So we are a capitalist country, we are an entrepreneurial country, and understanding that a lot of that comes from Washington is vital to understanding the debates today that you and I have talked about.
Good morning, John. This is Susie Moore. One of the uphill battles I think we have when we're talking about getting a better understanding of historical figures and their a well-rounded view of who they were, not just two-dimensional figures on a page, is the attention span today of the modern American is that of a gnat, and people are used to at this point having information spoon-fed to them, oftentimes in video format. What's in your view the best way to get people connected to these this additional information and help them better understand people like George Washington?
Well, as you said, Susie, videos are very important, and the Young Washington movie, which I haven't seen yet, but I've heard great things about, is going to help. But also, there are plenty of Americans who still read books, and if you try to write an exciting book like I did, if I may say so, I think that gets them into the story. And also, I think the relatability that a lot of Americans today are innovative, starting businesses, doing and that's what George Washington was trying to do when he found it was like a tough hoe to do, tobacco, that it was ruining the soil. He changed Mount Vernon over the years to do to plant wheat, diversify the crops, and then use the wheat to go into the grist mill. And Washington was also left fatherless at 11. His family didn't have the money to send him to school. Unlike the other founding fathers, he took a job in the sort of as a freelance surveyor, the gig economy of its day, and started acquiring real estate then. So the go get 'em of today's entrepreneurs is a relatable part of Washington's story too.
Yeah, we get so caught up in the politics and the policy, the various Federalist letters and anti-Federalist letters, and then we look at the documents. So often we look at the people as mythical figures, almost pseudo deities, unfortunately in a lot of ways. But these were very real people with very real shortcomings, as we all have. And that part of the story, I think, should be included more, because the great things that they accomplished and the great things we're trying to preserve, frankly, speak louder volumes when you look at the fact that you're dealing with people who failed, people who made mistakes, people who had to learn from those things and build what we have now. And I'm an unapologetic free market capitalist. And those are the principles that we're trying to hold on to, or reclaim, maybe would be more accurate. So when we look at the story of George Washington, like in your book, which, by the way, I just put that link up on our social media as well here. But when we look at the stories like George Washington, at that point, what are we able to take from that in defense of those principles? In this case, a free market principle, an entrepreneurial principle.
I've just shown that this country, that innovation itself is an American tradition, that Washington also, patronized inventors even before he was president. He championed James Rumsey in Virginia, who was one of the original inventors of the steamboat that Robert Fulton would commercialize 20 years later, that Washington promoted the invention and championed state patents before there was a federal patent office, then signed a patent for when he was president and there was a U.S. patent office. He was signing the early patents, including for Rumsey and also John Fitch, who invented what would be the original steamboats, and that Washington also read works about freedom. He read, in addition to, he was a reader, even though he never went to school. He was self-educated. He would read books about agriculture, but also Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations when it came out. In fact, there's a copy of him, his copy of the book has passages underlined from it, and John Locke, and all about natural rights. So just read the things about our freedoms and read everything about practical skills, and you're following in George Washington's footsteps.
So they didn't have highlighters back then, but even then you're saying he was using a pen to underline the key passages, huh?
Oh, yes, the pen. Very important.
The blog post that we're looking at, his marvelous list of liberties and grievances. I'm intrigued too. What sorts of grievances are we talking about?
Well, we know about the grievances about the oppressive taxes, but there were also direct regulations on like British laws like the Hat Act, the Wool Act, and the Iron Act that forbade, was enforced unevenly, but forbade colonial manufacturing that could compete with Great Britain, including like iron goods, like sickles and knives and horseshoes. And of course, Washington was diversifying into small-scale manufacturing, of course, making horseshoes for Mount Vernon. So he, in a famous letter to George Mason, which is the first known instance of him contemplating revolution, said paraphrasing, if they can tax my goods, they can also, and the direct quote, forbid my manufacturing. So it was the taxes on top of some of the regulations like the ones that we fight today at the Competitive Enterprise Institute, that really Washington and other budding entrepreneurs in the American colonies what motivated them to fight for independence.
So just to be clear, George Washington was not a fan of government controlling the means of production.
He was not. even if it could see less of a threat than what some are advocating today. He was just the British were sort of having their own growing state, and as far as what the colonies could do, not just, and then taxing them on the rest of that, and that combined, the taxes on top of those regulations and controlling trade embargoes was what led to the revolution.
Yeah, and by the way, the subtitle of your book, I'm looking right at the Amazon page right now. It's George Washington, Entrepreneur: How Our Founding Fathers' Private Business Pursuits Changed America and the World. And we sometimes forget that while we can marvel at the Constitution and what we've done with it over the years and the shortcomings at the time and what we've done with it, we also forget that the Founding Fathers, while there was plenty of disagreement about how government should be structured, they didn't look at the government as creating the society and the culture. They looked at it as protecting our right to build it, and they didn't look to government first. And that's what I'm taking from what you're saying right now, John.
Yes, those are natural rights, as John Locke had written, which influenced Thomas Jefferson and Washington also read. The government is just respecting our rights when it doesn't interfere. That it didn't give us those rights. Those rights came from God.
All right.
Providence, as Washington would say, when he would use the term providence for God quite often.
All right, John, I just wanted to be able to focus when I saw this reminder about the book that was out there. I'm like, you know what, the America 250, here we are just days away from our 250th anniversary as a country. I just wanted to kind of dig down into that and get that unique look. And John, I really appreciate you doing that.
Thank you so much for having me on.
All right. Once again, the book is George Washington, Entrepreneur. You can find that on Amazon, probably anywhere you get your books, Barnes Noble, wherever. And I put that up on the Rumble chat box. Jerome, can we throw that up on the other social media as well?
Already up.
All right. He's one step ahead of me. Thanks so much.
Thanks, John. All right. What can and should Congress do at this point to stop things like birth tourism? We will cover that at 7:20.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I like it, but they're going a little overboard with the dancing.
On NewsTalk-STL.
All right, you've heard me talk about Window World before. They are one of only 2 replacement windows with the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. And they're ranked number 1 in the country for number of windows sold by Qualified Remodeler magazine. They've been doing this for over 20 years, helping to improve the look and energy efficiency of more than 80,000 homes right here in St. Louis. And the St. Louis location has been owned, operated, and managed by born and raised St. Louisans for more than 23 years. So if you've been thinking about new windows, you can call today for a free home estimate at 1-800-GET-WINDOWS. What I like about Window World is the product itself. Their windows are durable, they're secure, they're energy efficient. They're built with double-strength glass that you don't typically see in replacement windows. Plus, you're covered with a lifetime warranty that covers parts, glass breakage and labor, and that's a big deal. And they don't just do windows. Window World can also help with siding and doors, basically everything on the exterior of your home except a roof or garage door. And here's something a lot of companies don't offer. Their customer service team is available 7 days a week. That means including weekends. And it shows. Over half of their appointments come from repeat customers or referrals, which tells you a lot about their commitment to customer service. They're also committed to the community. They've helped raise over $4 million over the years for charities like Action for Autism, St. Jude, plus they're the preferred windows of your St. Louis Blues. Right now, they're offering 36 months same-as-cash financing with approved credit, so if you've been putting it off, now is a great time to act. Call Window World at 1-800-GET-WINDOWS.
Colombo and Company.
More fallout from the Supreme Court rulings, and we're now less than 5 weeks away from the August primaries. We'll discuss all of it Wednesday, plus Rodney Boyd, and we'll open closest cabinet.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on NewsTalk STL.
Hey, Colombo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Let's get real. Here's the truth about eliminating Missouri's income tax.
I'm here with Dennis Ganal, founder and CEO of Mo Tax Relief Now. So, Dennis, we're talking Amendment 5. Why should grandparents, seniors, care about this?
Well, too many of our children and grandchildren leave Missouri for states like Tennessee with better opportunities and lower taxes. Amendment 5 helps Missouri become more competitive so future generations can stay, work, and raise their families here.
Okay, so it's about money, but it's also about keeping families together?
That's right, family and financial security. Seniors want to keep more of their retirement income and stay close to their children and grandchildren. Amendment 5 protects taxpayers and helps Missouri compete with states that aren't taxing income. Keep your family together. Keep your money. Axe the tax. Vote yes on Amendment 5.
Learn more at afpmissouri.com.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010 extension 3 today or visit colecombs-law.com.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk. Live and local.
I need to know what's going on in my city.
News Talk STL.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
I'm a historian of totalitarianism. The lesson of 1933 is you get out sooner rather than later.
If you think that there's this thing out there called America and it's exceptional, that means that what your definition of freedom is just gets narrowed. You're using the word freedom, but what you're talking about is authoritarianism.
I'm looking everywhere around me, worried for my life. And then he looks at me and says, hey, you're in America, you're fine. The amount of freedom that we have here is unfathomable. We need to preserve these with everything that we have.
The different viewpoints from within America on the far left and then from people around the world who come here and go, whoa.
I have a question, too.
Oh?
That lady who said she was a historian of totalitarianism, is she the same one that was saying she was a historian of the far right, or scholar of the far right?
No, so that actually comes from...
She sounded similar.
They do kind of sound similar.
Yeah, and the concept was very, the way she put it.
So the first couple sound bites come from a New York Post op-ed video that I found where it was actual academic professors,
of course,
that all do studies into fascism and all that kind of stuff. And this video was released a few months ago, and they literally left the United States because they are claiming that they are afraid of the trajectory that we're on.
I think we wrote about the ones that went. Yeah, I think we may have covered that.
And so that's where they come from. So these are people that actually, in the video, it lists their credentials, it lists where they taught at. I didn't bother to keep all that because it's a 20-minute video, but those are the two sound bites I think that really encapsulated what kind of hysteria these people are dealing with.
Yeah.
And the gentleman, the bite got a little bit shortened, but he's originally from South Africa, and he's talking about, at night you don't drive around, not just because the infrastructure is bad, but because
It's dangerous.
Yeah. Well, it's dangerous, and also the police are corrupt. You could run into a cop that will stop you and extort you, and if that's and that's not even the worst thing that sometimes they do. And then they broke down in the middle of the night in America, and he was like having a full on panic attack, and his boss was like, "Dude, you're in America. Relax. Like we're okay."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not just South Africa. There's also Mexico's notorious for
Brazil's like that.
Brazil's
a lot of
that.
countries.
Gotta watch out for the
Notorious for-
federales.
Not to say that there aren't places where you should get worried if your car breaks down in the middle of the night. But
True.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Just
Sorry.
just
an observation
fascinating
there.
when we're doing those. All right. Sometimes it feels like it's hard to keep up with all the news.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Yeah.
All the time.
But that's why RedState.com is such a help for that as well. Yep. So, Susie, what do you suggest we check out first today?
This is the Red State Rundown.
Check out first today this article by Jennifer Oliver O'Connell. It's kind of taking a longer look at the decisions yesterday. It's titled "Drawing the Line on Boys and Girls Sports Will Have a More Lasting Impact Than the Decision on Birthright." So I think that it really, she kind of drives home the fact that it's kind of getting overshadowed by the birthright citizenship case, but the transgender athletics decision actually has some lasting import and shouldn't be overlooked. So good article to check out there. California Dems bill to keep child sex predators off the ballot. And guess who led the charge?
Of course.
Yeah. Rusty Weiss has that one. Or they kill the bill to keep child sex predators off the ballot. So, yeah. Scott Wiener. Yeah. That guy.
And this guy's going to be a congressman.
He is.
Yeah. The good news is it'll be one of 435. The bad news is that he is a rising star in the Democratic Party, which says a lot about where the fringe is in that party.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's going to be a small fish.
I hope
once
so.
it gets to D.C. But speaking of Congress, Sister Told You had this one. This was an amazing piece of video yesterday. It's her headline is, "You're a Disgrace. Lawler unloads on Raskin and Jayapal during fiery Sanctuary City hearing." This was a pretty amazing exchange. And then the interview with Mike Lawler afterwards by TMZ, he did not hold back on his opinion of some of his colleagues there in Congress.
Well, Jayapal in particular was hideous.
She was horrible.
Yeah, I mean, especially listening from angel families, who had lost people, literally killed by illegal aliens. She's like, I don't have time to listen to this. We have other things to do.
Yeah. She's odious.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're seeing more and more of Mike Lawler. This video yesterday, if you get a chance, check out the TMZ interview with him. It's like by the elevator bank there in the Capitol. And it's like a 5-minute interview, and he does not in any way hold back.
Yeah.
And I think it's well-deserved.
Yep. 7:25 right now. By the way, a little bit of breaking news here. Victor Willis has passed away at the age of 74. Now, you may not know that name, right?
I do not.
He was the lead singer and the policeman in the Village People.
Oh no!
Yeah, so he's passed away. His wife announced that on social media out there. So just so you know, because obviously some Village People songs have made a real resurgence in the last couple years. But even President Trump even actually posted a in memoriam on his social media as well. But Victor Willis, just moments ago, kind of was announced. It turns out he passed away yesterday, but it just kind of was posted a little bit ago. All right, like I said, 7:25 right now. All right, we got a few minutes here because I'm telling you, for the audio I'm going to play in the 7:35 segment, you're welcome. I'm just going to tell you right now, you're welcome.
He's promised. I'm anxious
you're
to
welcome.
see what this is going to be.
You're welcome. I'm giving you your welcomes right now. You can thank me in the 7:35 segment.
This is going to be bad.
I remain skeptical.
It's going to be amazing.
I remain skeptical.
I'm telling you, it's going to be
I'm
amazing.
skeptical.
Okay. Supreme Court rulings. So basically, Susie, we've got time because I want to touch on this throughout the day here. The rulings everybody's paying the most attention to, have to do with obviously the birthright citizenship one, which if there's any benefit to this, even if you don't like the ruling, the memes and the Babylon Bee article have been spectacular on that. Did you see the one? You mentioned this one earlier. I saw it yesterday too. It was the Babylon Bee post. What was it? It's like Supreme Court rules anybody born at Olive Garden is now Italian.
Yeah, they're now an Italian citizen.
I like that.
If you're born at Taco Bell, you're now a Mexican citizen as well.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Okay, so the birthright citizenship one, mechanically, this was striking down the executive order from the president. But they went farther basically to reaffirm by a very narrow decision, 5-4, affirm the kind of conventional wisdom understanding of what the 14th Amendment means when it comes to if you're born here, doesn't matter how mom and dad got here, or at least how mom got here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's, again, from a practical standpoint, it's not really changing anything. Yeah. It's basically just saying you can't do via executive order what was attempted here.
Right.
And again, I understand why people are upset about it, but I don't think it's time to pull your hair out.
I was not surprised by the ruling at all.
No.
Yeah.
I was and I wasn't. I wasn't surprised by the outcome. I was surprised on the way they broke it down and what they lean into for the rationale.
Yeah. All right. So where this goes from here, the proposed constitutional amendment is just for press releases. There is not going to be another constitutional amendment in the United States. It just ain't going to happen.
No, that's going to be a big campaign item coming up.
Yeah. And when you see politicians, in this case, it'll be Republicans, saying, we're going to pass this constitutional amendment. I'm a sponsor or co-sponsor. And the crowd's going to go wild. And here's what you need to know. That ain't never going to happen. Mm-hmm. You can submit it and you can talk on Meet the Press and Newsmax TV and Fox News all you want. It's never going to happen. And they all know that, but they also can say rightly, this shows you how crucial border security is and how important it is not only to keep the border secure, but how important it is to find those in this country illegally and say, back to the back of the line. If you want to come into the country, you got to do it the right way. You have to go. That shows you a new, I think, angle on that entire deportation discussion.
Yeah, a lot could be accomplished just by enforcing the laws that are already on the books.
Right.
And of course, half of Congress doesn't even want to do that, but that's beside the point. Those laws are on the books and haven't been struck down. So, if we just actually followed those, we'd be sitting pretty.
Okay, so let's talk about the other big ruling everybody's talking about. Now, there was the campaign finance one, which is kind of being overshadowed, but the ruling regarding the boys and girls sports and boys and girls locker rooms. Mm-hmm. Some states, Missouri is one of the states that's passed laws like this. They weren't part of this case, but the states like West Virginia and what was it, Idaho. I think was the other one. Mm-hmm. They passed laws that say, no, you're a boy. You can, just because you claim you're a girl doesn't mean you get to be on the girls sports team, doesn't mean you get to be in the girls locker room. And they just had some common sense laws. And those were what was being challenged by ACLU and some others. Mm-hmm. And the Supreme Court said, no, states have a right to do that.
Yes. Yeah, that is not in violation of either the Equal Protection Clause or Title IX to do what those states have done.
Right. Now, there are those who are running with this and saying, the Supreme Court banned boys and men's from girls and women's sports.
It did not.
That is not what happened. Not even close to what happened. I wish they would have, but that's not.
Well, that's not on them to do anyway.
Say that wasn't what was in front of them.
Right. I mean, the Supreme Court isn't supposed to be making law.
Right.
So
yeah,
they're supposed to be saying whether something that laws that were passed are past muster.
Right. And so in this case, you do have other states that think so little of girls and women that they allow this kind of nonsense to go on. They're not affected by this.
No, but there will be undoubtedly follow-on litigation that has to do with challenging those states' provisions, and that's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, it is. So we had a conversation with our friends from Pacific Legal Foundation about this a little over about an hour ago. I think in about another hour, let's revisit that one because I think Joe gave us a really good description of what this means and what this doesn't mean. And so we'll do that again here in about another hour. And then that conversation, in case you got people who you see not sure what these rulings mean, we'll have that posted on our podcast a little bit later this morning as well.
Also, just a quick reminder, since I'm asking everybody for their patriotic songs for tomorrow, any genre is fine, any era.
I heard this great one, this AI one that they should send you.
You're cruising for a Bruce and Mister. Be banging pots and pans outside your house on January 1st now. We have a 4th of July tradition here on Mike Ferguson in the Morning, a very special song, a tribute to America that we play every year right before the holiday. We will be doing that again tomorrow, so you definitely want to be listening in the 7 o'clock hour for that. And I'm actually surprised that we've not gotten in trouble for it yet.
I am shocked that I have not gotten in trouble for 5 years now by playing this. But we're going to do it again tomorrow. I'm going to keep doing it until I get in trouble.
If you want to listen to possibly our last broadcast ever.
I mean, it's America.
That's right.
7 o'clock tomorrow. Tune in.
About about a shirtless man.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
A cross between Socrates and Dirty Harry.
On News Talk STL. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to continue to track temperatures back towards the upper 90s today, with it feels like temperature reaching up to 107 degrees in some areas. Mostly sunny skies going to be on deck today. From Thursday lasting through Saturday, we continue our first alert weather day coverage as we continue to surge back towards the triple digits for our heat index values. We'll continue to look at some isolated chances of showers and storms from the afternoon hours lasting towards the early overnight hours each day. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scott.
At Body of Health, we're a small but mighty family operation with big ambitions for your health. I'm Helene Tobler, and I'm jazzed about how our MRI-grade body composition analyzer is putting personalized health and wellness on steroids. It helps me and Dr. Tobler, that's my husband, refine the advice we give to help you feel better and live longer. Body of Health, trusted, discerning, affordable health care the way it ought to be. Learn more at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Larry Connor's Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit vincentsjewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's Commentary on News Talk STL.
What can we do to prevent other nations invading our country using the 14th Amendment? Trump, by executive order, had declared just being born here does not make you a citizen. Well, the High Court, on a 5-4 decision, said Trump violated the 14th Amendment. Foreigners have used that amendment to get U.S. citizenship for their babies. And with the High Court ruling, more will use that option. What are our options? Well, our nation could pass another amendment. It would be our 28th and negate the 14th Amendment. First, it would have to win a 2/3 majority vote in Congress, then ratified by 3/4 of the states. Considering how divided our nation is right now, what are the chances of that happening? I would say slim to none to you've been run over by a train. The last time our nation ratified a new amendment to replace another amendment was 1933. The 21st ended the 18th Amendment, prohibiting sale of alcohol. Whoa, there was a case or more where people could actually come together and toast to an agreement.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
You work hard, follow the rules, and get absolutely slammed by taxes. Your paycheck taxed, your property taxed, everything you buy taxed. Missouri's tax system isn't broken, it's rigged against you. The lawyers and lobbyists working for big corporations and the super rich buried over 200 loopholes for themselves in our tax code. While they pay nothing on the services they use, working families are taxed over and over. It's no wonder they're lying about Amendment 5. Our corrupt tax system is rigged in their favor. They're getting a free ride on your back. Don't believe their lies. The truth is, Amendment 5 closes loopholes exploited by the super rich and slashes taxes paid by Missouri's working families, phasing out income taxes and cutting property taxes. They finally pay what they owe while you keep what you earn. Vote yes on Amendment 5, paid for by Missouri Promise PAC.
A Disney cruise is no ordinary vacation. It's an adventure, a fairy tale, a dream. Step aboard and discover where favorite Disney characters meet fun for the whole family, where total rest and relaxation meet the ultimate escape and excitement, where a dream vacation meets a magical cruise. Only on Disney Cruise Line, where magic meets the sea.
Magic Expeditions will make planning your Disney cruise easy. Reach out at magicexpeditions.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to News Talk STL on the app driving to work.
Download the News Talk STL app.
You got to get the News Talk STL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis.
And listen anytime.
News Talk STL right on my phone.
Anywhere.
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. Hope you had enough time to freshen up your coffee, because now we're back with Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I'm not really into those singing competition shows, the karaoke shows.
Mhm.
Not my. Now, I understand why they're so popular. I can see where they're a lot of fun.
Sure.
It's just never really been my thing. I like some of the artists that came out of them.
Okay.
Daughtry being my favorite.
Sure.
That guy rocks, man.
Yeah.
So I think he was American Idol. I think it was one.
He
of those.
was.
So it's not my thing, but there was one of those competitions that I wish I'd known about. I could have. I would have attended and watched. And I'll tell you about that in just a minute here.
Okay.
And I have a clip from the winning performance.
Okay.
On this. This is great. By the way, Sam Page says he's got to protect county officials from getting beat up by county council members or something like that. Yeah. He's actually
Whatever, Sam.
He's actually ordering that the department heads of St. Louis County, the appointed department heads, not meet with county council members to talk about things like budget, because he's worried that they're going to get beat up.
Mm-hmm.
And this is basically targeting Shalonda Webb, but none of them can meet with none of the others. So you stay on your turf, we'll stay on our turf. That's our street. That's our block.
Okay.
Okay, Sam. All right, we're going to talk to Councilman Mike Archer about that at 8:05. Just kind of putting that out there. Okay, so the Minions and Monsters singing competition happened in California. Is it the Dolby Theater? Is that LA or is that Burbank? But anyway, the Dolby Theater, they had this competition where they sang some beautiful songs, but the catch was the competitors had to sing in Minionese.
Okay.
Minionese being what the little minion characters speak in the Despicable Me movies.
Okay.
I've seen a bunch of clips from that, but I've actually never watched the Despicable Me cartoon movie.
Yeah.
Because I
don't know if I can do a little minion voice.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
they kind of have a little bit like that.
If you could have, and their nonsensical language, you could have entered the Minions and Monsters competition.
Oh, well, I didn't know I was missing out.
You were missing out.
Okay.
Okay, so the winner of the competition is a young lady by the name of Renia Kando, and she sang the Jackson 5's "I'll Be There for You."
Okay.
Or what is that? What? Yeah, I think that's what it's called. Yeah. I'll Be There. Excuse me. I'll Be There.
Okay.
Which is a beautiful song. It's a fantastic song.
Sure.
How would the Minions sing that song?
I'm not even going to try.
This is how they would sing that song.
Yeah.
You're welcome, everybody.
I thought Alvin and the Chipmunks was bad.
Yeah. Good voice. Yeah. That's good for about 15 seconds of entertainment.
That was 45.
Yeah. Might have pushed it a little bit. I mean, at a certain point, like, what? Okay, like, I totally get karaoke. I get the singing competition shows, but at a certain point, I feel like they've jumped the shark that jumped the shark. I don't know. It's just me.
I just thought, I saw that. I'm like, I can't not put that on the show today. That is so funny.
Yeah.
I will not be buying that Christmas album.
No. I had the one with like the little cat, the Jingle Cats. I had that one.
Yeah, where they just meow, meow, meow,
meow, meow, meow, meow. Yeah. Even that I think got played once.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like that's kind of a clever concept for a very brief window.
She won the grand prize was a giant banana trophy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's something to put on your resume.
Apparently, she does a lot of songs in the Minions things on social media, like on TikTok and stuff. And,
this is her thing.
This is like her thing, and it's not. She's not the only one, but she won. But there was a link in the story on Entertainment Weekly, which is where I found this, and they linked right to her like TikTok, and for some reason I'm not on TikTok.
Yeah,
but
sometimes you can see them.
You can see the videos, and you could scroll through, and like she did Bohemian Rhapsody, and she did a bunch of others.
So with American Idol, the idea at the end of it is that the winner gets some sort of contract deal for like a record label. Is that on the table for whatever monstrosity that's been unleashed?
Banana.
I don't know.
A giant banana.
I mean, right now she's getting her 15 minutes of fame, to quote Andy Warhol. But
I could have gone my entire life not knowing that this was a thing, Mike.
You see, now I've enriched your life.
That's one word for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, one man's trash is another man's treasure.
She's got a very good voice.
She does have a good voice. It's unfortunately, you know what I think my beef with it, even though I am not, truly a good singer, is that she's burying a good voice in a gimmick.
Yeah. And she's an attractive young woman, and she's
Right.
got all the elements where she could
Right, and
do
I
it.
understand that it's hard to distinguish yourself in a world full of wannabe singers. I do understand that, but I feel like she's got a talent that is now being
So what happens if she sings
shadowed by?
sings a song that would be like something, I don't know, whatever female great artist you would have out there singing
Celine Dion,
mm-hmm. or Whitney Houston, or who,
right.
If she had that song, is she going to be remembered as the Minions girl?
Yeah, I mean, at best, that's the thing. It's like, so I mean, it's I don't know. To me, this is one of those things that it's like it's kind of clever and gimmicky for a very, like I said, very 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 brief window, and then it's like, okay, like how many songs can we see you do as a Minion?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been exposed to quite a few things doing karaoke, but I swear if somebody shows up and they start karaokeing Minion songs, I'm tossing a table or something.
So this isn't the bump music out here in a second.
It's your show. If you want it to be, I am. My hands are tied. I'm just saying that
I do like Ghost better that we played.
Yeah, I mean, or like, okay, if you're gonna do something like this, make it something like Johnny Cash. Something like that. Like I would not mind maybe seeing how far they can take it to its logical conclusion. But this is, you're singing random Minions cartoon. At least Alvin and the Chipmunks, it was a song sped up more. You know what I'm saying? Like this is just.
What's funny is when I looked at the video, I guess there were 4 competitors in this, so this wasn't like an all day thing. The other 4 young women behind, they're trying to keep a straight face, so nobody took this thing seriously. But it looks like they had a lot of fun with it.
You know what? That's what really matters. If they're having fun, then bully for them. I just don't see myself putting any effort into either attempting to sing as a Minion or watch someone else listen to someone else sing as a Minion. It's just, No. I think Jerome and I are both a no on that one. Yeah,
it's a no for me, dog.
That's a. That was perfect. All right. At 8:05, St. Louis County Councilman Mike Archer is going to be on the show. I hope we'll all be safe. I don't know. Have security precautions been taken?
We got to be careful because these county
change
council
the door
members,
locks and all that stuff.
These county council people, you got to watch them.
According to Sam Page, we're in danger.
Yeah, I mean, I've got some martial arts training, but I don't know if it's going to be enough.
I'm not ready to kung fu fight.
No,
I'm not. I don't know if I can do it. I'm scared for you guys. Yeah, I really am. Are you ready for me to tell you about the place to have great fun and great food in the heart of West County? Well, I'm going to. It's Harpo's Chesterfield. It's the perfect neighborhood bar. They've been there for 20 years. They're close. They're convenient. They've got a great sports bar atmosphere. So, for instance, if you're thinking, hey, where can I go tonight and watch the next U.S. World Cup game, match, whatever you want to call it, you can go to Harpo's. They're going to have great drink and food specials there. They do every day. If you want to check out what their specials are, you can go to harposstl.com. That tells you, that lists them for each day. And let me tell you, they're a very, very good deal. Like I said, it's a great sports bar atmosphere. The food is delicious. They've got a great variety of food. I am partial to the burgers, as you all may know, but they've got all kinds of options for you to choose from. And if you want to see what big events they may have coming up, you can check out their Facebook or Instagram page at Harpo's Chesterfield. They have a friendly, energetic staff. They deliver fun food and drinks like no one else. So whether you're dining in or carrying out, make Harpo's Chesterfield your go-to. Visit harposstl.com or check out Harpo's Chesterfield on Facebook or Insta.
License number GL250000615.
You're cooking dinner. The lights go out. You flip the breaker and forget about it.
But what if it keeps tripping?
Trips once, your breaker's doing its job. Keeps tripping? That's a warning. Bad wiring or something worse.
Do people just keep flipping it?
Most do, until they can't anymore.
Call Grasser. We'll stop the trip.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli. We're sitting here with our great friend, Chris Cooper. Hi, Chris.
What's going on, Vic? How are you?
I hear you wrote another book. This one's an e-book. Is that right?
The Business Owner's Playbook for Financial Clarity. So it is a great book for entrepreneurs. It's a very short guide. Give people, business owners, the ability to understand key questions that are important, such as succession planning, legacy planning, getting the IRS out of our pockets, right? Because do you like paying taxes?
I do not.
I don't think anybody likes paying taxes, right? That just makes sense. And then always talking about protection. And then the other thing from a business owner perspective, what is the biggest asset a business owner has? Probably their business itself, right? We need to make sure we understand what the value of that business is as well.
So this new book, I'm sure, is incredibly expensive, right? How much?
No, it's a free resource.
Oh, it's free.
We provide guidance, we provide education because we want to make sure people feel educated and understanding because sometimes you don't know what questions to ask, and we need to make sure we help arm people with information to ask the right question.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
The Mike Ferguson Show is one of my favorite programs. In addition to Larry Connor's USA, catch my program at 6. Now, back to Mike.
All right, the Supreme Court speaks and America now debates. 3 decisions were handed down, but 2 of them are really what everybody's talking about. Or 4 were handed down.
Technically 4 were,
Yeah.
but 2 of them were combined. The transgender athletics one was 2 cases combined.
Right. So America's debating. Also, boy, NPR had to do some backpedaling yesterday. Yeah. And dysfunction in St. Louis city government is now at comical levels. We're going to talk to Councilman Mike Archer about that at 8:05, but I got a few basic details for you here. It is 7:49. Let's go ahead and do a news dump.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Mario's Donut Restaurant.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the Morning News Dump.
The U.S. Supreme Court upheld basically the broad conventional wisdom concept of birthright citizenship, rejecting President Trump's executive order. That executive order declared that children born to people in the United States illegally or temporarily are not actually American citizens, and the Supreme Court disagreed. Bernie Bennett has the story.
The justices, in a decision in a New Hampshire case Tuesday, relied on a long-settled understanding of the 14th Amendment, adopted after the Civil War, and more recent federal laws in ruling anyone born in the country is a citizen, with limited exceptions. The Republican president's restrictions had been blocked by several lower courts and had not taken effect. 3 conservative justices would have allowed the restrictions to take effect.
Okay, so basically what we've got here, and I remember, Susie, you were surprised when the ruling was handed down because I remember you saying, whoa, they actually did this on constitutional grounds, meaning this is how we interpret the 14th Amendment. If you're born here, you're a citizen. End of story. I mean, other than those little exceptions, diplomatic and whatnot. But that decision is a constitutional one. It wasn't a technical type thing.
Yeah, for the 5.
Yeah. All right. Other decision handed down had to do with states banning boys and men from being in girls and women's sports. They decided 6-3 with the typical split that the gender-confused males cannot compete in women's sports in states where the states ban that sort of thing. Senate candidate Michelle DeFoya, did we figure out, was she Minnesota?
It's Minnesota.
Minnesota, yeah.
Yeah.
So she's running for the U.S. Senate. You would know her from what was it, Sunday Night Football, and she was the sideline reporter. She's done all kinds of sports reporting for years, and she's now a Republican running for U.S. Senate in Minnesota. She was on the Will Cain show reacting to the ruling.
This is undeniable fact. Boys and men are boys and men. Girls and women are girls and women. You can identify as whatever you want. That's not the issue here. It's when it comes to fairness in sports.
You're going to be shocked to know that the ACLU represented the gender-confused athletes, and they called the ruling heartbreaking. But again, in the states where they allow this sort of nonsense and devaluing of girls and women, those states are still allowed to do that. That was not before the U.S. Supreme Court. I just want to make sure that people understand that the fight over this is nowhere near over.
This was just whether states can make the rule that you can limit it. And yes, they can.
Yep.
But so whether states can make the rule saying you don't limit it is a different issue.
Yeah, then that I'm sure will be fought over in the years to come as well. All right, NPR is apologizing for a completely false report, completely false, that Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito was retiring. They published it. They ran with it across the country. Reporter Nina Totenberg posted a story saying Alito is retiring or had retired after the last set of rulings. The story was reported on the air across the nation. It is completely false. Totenberg later admitted that she heard secondhand information and that she now admits she misheard, or she says she misheard that secondhand information, made an assumption, and then ran with the story. NPR says it profoundly regrets the error.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I bet it does.
Yeah.
I bet it does. I don't believe for 1 second Nina Totenberg overheard someone say something about retirements and said, Alito, we're running the story.
Yeah.
Without asking any follow-up questions whatsoever. I think she got fed bad info, and the only question is by who and for what purpose.
Yeah. And this is the kind of thing that gets you in trouble at the student newspaper in junior high school and a national NPR correspondent. That's her description. You go to NPR, they actually have a post on why they pulled that down and her description of what happened. And her description, as you read what they wrote on there, it just makes her look worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's bad. It's
my
bad.
Goodness. Okay, we're going to talk to Councilman Mike Archer here in just a little bit. As of right now, St. Louis County Department heads are not allowed to meet with county council members to talk about things like, the budget and all the money they're requesting and how they're going to spend it. Sam Page issued that directive this week, saying it's to keep administration officials safe. Safe from what? Safe from physical violence.
Right.
He's worried that they're going to get beat up by the council members or something. Okay, so he's accusing Councilwoman Shalonda Webb of threatening violence against one director. That director's not been named, but reports say it's Kamika Cunningham, the director of the health department in the county. Webb denies that, and we're going to talk to Mike Archer about that here in a little bit. Oh my gosh, this just gets dumber and dumber and dumber coming out of county government there. It's
the next movie.
Oh my goodness.
Dumber and dumber and dumber.
That's right. Dumber, dumber, and dumber, the Sam Page story. Okay, you pay the bill, and that should be the end of it until next year. But in St. Louis County, multiple homeowners say they paid the property tax bill, paid it on time, got the receipts, but the payments were not posted in the system. And Channel 4 has the story on this, by the way. The homeowners are not only still receiving bills for what they already paid, but they're being charged large late fees and penalties. The acting director of revenue, Erica Savage, is blaming the problem on the vendor used to process payments and saying, we've resolved them all. And the homeowners go, no. There's one guy who had like a $1,500 bill, and now he's like getting a bill with penalties and late fees for like $7,500.
It's
insane.
That was one of those cases at the Supreme Court last week was about.
Yeah.
It was about people getting hung up on a property tax or property bill and then having their house sold out from under them.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, there is a boil advisory in effect for parts of the city that's affecting both North and South St. Louis. A lot of people are under this boil advisory. So in North City, the Hampton Heights, Kingsway West, and Wells Goodfellow neighborhoods are affected, and much of South City. And I'm just going to list off the neighborhoods because I actually have a second to do that. So in the South City area, you have High Point, Clayton Tam, Cheltenham, and Kings Oak, also Franz Park, The Hill, Southwest Garden neighborhoods, Ellendale, Clifton Heights, Northampton neighborhoods, Tower Grove South, South Grand, Gravois Park, Tower Grove East, Compton Heights, Shaw, Benta Park West. All of those neighborhoods are under a boil advisory. So if the water is going to go into your body in any way, or the water is going to go onto anything that would affect your food, washing dishes, washing food, whatever, boiling food, whatever, boil the water first is what they're recommending. They do not actually have not detected any actual health threats, but there was a water pressure loss, which stirs up a bunch of junk in the water.
Just drink alcohol.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. You know why? Because this is America.
Exactly.
That's what you do. So they hope to give the all clear today or maybe early tomorrow on that. Okay, Cardinals start their series with the Braves off in fashion that our friend Jay Monty would not like. The Cardinals won 5-3.
Oh, no.
Matthew Liberatore pitched 5 innings, giving up only 1 hit, 1 run. Both Nelson Velasquez and Nathan Church hit home runs in the 4th inning for the Redbirds. Nathan Church's home run was a 3-run shot. The second game of the series, which is in Atlanta, is tonight at 6:15. Michael McGreevy scheduled to start on the mound for the Cardinals.
Looking to celebrate the 4th of July with a bang? Then look no further than Powder Monkey Fireworks. We've got bottle rockets, fountains, cakes, mortars. Our selection is endless with low prices and no gimmicks. Our friendly, knowledgeable staff will help you choose the perfect fireworks to make your holiday unforgettable. You'll go bananas at Powder Monkey, Highway 94 in St. Charles, on Westwood in Weldon Spring, and on Brendel in Rocky Mount. Don't want to fight the crowds? Order online at powdermonkeyfireworks.com. Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney.
Fix the frame, fire up the furnace. This week, I'll be connecting joint repair, fat-burning exercises, and supplements like creatine, magnesium, psyllium, B vitamins, and TMG. You're going to learn how better tissue health may help you move better, heal better, and support a stronger metabolism.
Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney. Saturdays at noon on News Talk STL. To find out more about Simply Health Integrated Medical, log on to simplyhealthintegrated.com. This year, America turns 250, and News Talk STL is celebrating our nation's semi-quincentennial all year long. News Talk STL, #1 for live and local Soros-free talk, with proud supporters of our 250th birthday celebration. Trolley Stop Bakery, DG Firearms, and The Yard Guy. 250 years strong, and we're just getting started. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
Thank you for taking my call. Thank you very much for taking my call.
Every day, something new. No one else is really talking about this.
I'm glad you're fired up about it, too.
Trump's doing the right thing.
You know, there's so many issues.
It's over.
I think you're politically wrong.
Very upset.
I will have to agree with you.
You're one of the sweetest guys in the world. For a guy who's so bad on politics.
101.9 and 94.1.
Your platform is like really, really important to us.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rick Thomason. As America celebrates its 250th birthday this coming weekend, the legislative branch has called it quits, at least for the time being.
The House leadership on Tuesday abruptly canceled votes and sent lawmakers home early for the holiday recess. Speaker Mike Johnson's majority once again ground to a standstill by a Republican split over their own party's agenda. In this case, it's a standoff blocking the annual defense bill as the holdout Republicans pushed to include President Donald Trump's own priority, the Save America Act, a strict voter ID bill. Speaker Johnson spent 4 hours last week at the White House and spent another 2 hours with the president this week on a path forward. Bernie Bennett in Washington.
8 groups are sounding the alarm, warning that Venezuela's fragile healthcare system being stretched to its limits in the wake of last week's 2 strong earthquakes. Damaged and understaffed hospitals are being overwhelmed by the injured, and infectious diseases are flaring up in the disaster zone. Carlotta Wolf with the UN's Refugee Agency.
In La Guaira, the hardest hit state, food shortages are widespread, basic services have broken down, and connectivity has been largely severed. Community tensions are rising as access to assistance remains constrained.
The government puts a death toll at more than 1,900, but experts view that as a significant undercount. It is a shocker, the defeat of veteran Denver Congresswoman Diana DeGette in the Colorado Democratic primary, defeated by Democratic Socialist Maylot Quiros. U.S. Senator John Hickenlooper fended off a challenge from progressive state Senator Julie Gonzalez. In the Colorado governor's race, State Attorney General Phil Weiser won the Democratic primary. On Wall Street, ahead of this morning's opening bell, Dow futures down 160 points. NASDAQ futures off 255. More on these stories, townhall.com.
With things moving fast to resolve the situation in the Middle East, the headlines may change, but the fundamentals haven't. America's debt continues to climb, and uncertainty still hangs over the global economy. That's why investors continue turning to one asset that has stood the test of time: physical gold and silver. For generations, gold has been viewed as a safe haven asset during periods of geopolitical tension and market volatility. That's why Advantage Gold wants to send you a free gold investment guide valued at $49, plus a free copy of economist Ken Rogoff's acclaimed book, Our Dollar, Your Problem, when you call 800-900-8000. Discover why central banks are buying gold, why many Americans are diversifying with precious metals, and how a tax and penalty-free rollover into physical gold and silver may fit into your retirement strategy. Don't wait until the next crisis dominates the headlines. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000 right now. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-900-8000.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to continue to track temperatures back towards the upper 90s today, with it feels like temperature reaching up to 107 degrees in some areas. Mostly sunny skies going to be on deck today. From Thursday lasting through Saturday, we continue our first alert weather day coverage as we continue to surge back towards the triple digits for our heat index values. We'll continue to look at some isolated chances of showers and storms from the afternoon hours lasting towards the early overnight hours each day. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Dude, this house is perfect. Crumbs everywhere, sticky counters. I've already texted the colonies.
Sweet, I'll bring my 500 cousins. This'll be the biggest ant rager of the summer.
Let's party! Wait, oh, what's that sound? Oh, no, it's those trucks with the green wheels. Party's over, man. Party's over.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. We'd love to help you out. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 636-486-7888.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
This is Kurt Barr, Director of Elections for St. Charles County, reminding you that your vote counts. Before each election, St. Charles County mails a sample ballot to every registered voter. This allows you to review the candidates and issues at home before you ever set foot in a polling place. Additionally, the Election Authority website has a ballot lookup tool where you can find your sample ballot by your home address. For official election information, visit sccmo.org/elections.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
We only get them once a month, but we'll take them. Paul Kurtman joins us Wednesday at 9:25 to play the bee or not the bee.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Big guy, one of the biggest in the world.
Susie Moore.
Do you think he's ready?
He's not ready.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
I have a feeling that by the end of this evening, I'm going to be blamed for everything.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
The jets are in gear. Our cylinders are clicking. The shots are steer clear.
Okay, so it's maybe not the Sharks and the Jets. It's maybe administration and county council in Clayton. Maybe it's not West Side Story. Maybe it's Clayton's story that's happening. You got to watch out for those.
The execs versus the council.
That's it. That's right. We know there's a conflict in St. Louis County government, but we're not quite at UFC levels of conflict yet, I don't think. Oh, good Lord. All right, we're joined now by County Councilman Mike Archer, which we got to keep an eye on you because Sam Page says that his people need to be protected from people like you, and that's, members of the county council, apparently, Mike.
Yeah, that's true. And the council members just got finished working out with the Rocky theme screaming in the background. 4:30 to 7 o'clock workout for us. And you know, as ridiculous as that sounds, it's getting ridiculous on the county council level with the safety. That whole thing kind of goes back to Dr. Cunningham refuses to show up for budget meetings. And, you know, she did that when I had the animal shelter investigation last year. So one of the things that has happened is that Tanika Cunningham and Shalonda Webb have been sparring back and forth. And there was a press conference after the funding was approved for the corrections medicine. Tanika Cunningham then interrupted Shalonda and said that's not true. And then one of the Angela Mosley supporters there that also happened to be involved in the fight from last September said that Shalonda allegedly said that Shalonda wanted to punch her in the effing mouth and overheard that. And that's the whole basis for the safety, and it's just ludicrous.
Yeah,
It
because
really is.
because Sam, I saw the letter that Sam Page sent to you all, and he's making a big show. You know, kind of like we came in with West Side Story. He's almost you can almost see him trying to do the dance in here, saying that you know my appointees, my department heads, they just don't feel safe. So from this point on, I'm not allowing them to meet with any of you. So nobody can come into your office and say, okay, here's what's going on with the budget, Mike. Here's what questions you have. And he's saying all this has to be done. Now, I guess they can obey him or not obey him on that. But he's saying that they're all scared for their safety because now Shalonda Webb did get into that scrap. You did mention that. But it's all basically a bunch of Sam Page's supporters saying she said she wanted to punch her in the mouth. I don't guess anybody else heard her say that, but that's the accusation that she said that. And so Sam Page is basically not missing an opportunity to make something big out of what's clearly nonsensical.
Exactly. And from my standpoint, I've got the prosecuting attorney as one of my CDLs. And if he thinks that he can tell Melissa Price Smith, an elected official, that she can't meet with me and it only has to be in public, I think Melissa Price Smith would have some serious words for Dr. Page. I've also got judicial administration. And if Sam Page sends an edict over to the presiding judge, Judge Bruce Hilton, whom I've known for 30 years, and says you can't meet with Mike, Judge Hilton would probably take umbrage with that. So it's just ludicrous all the way up and down the line, Mike. And I mean, this relationship, when I thought it couldn't get any worse, it has.
Yeah,
and go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, and at this point, I mean, Sam Page is basically saying, okay, so that means we have to do all this out in the council chambers, and we're going to go through all these detailed discussions. It's good because it's out in the public. Listen, I've been in elected office. I know how detailed these things get. There's nothing wrong with the public, you know, hearing about all of that, but he's making it sound like you guys are the ones with something to hide, and that's another aspect of this.
Exactly. And we've got absolutely nothing to hide. As a matter of fact, you know, as you know, Mike, from being in an elected position, a lot of this is just tedious in terms of where the money goes, where we're getting the money, you know, expenditures, professional services. And, you know, Sam Page is also trying to cover up the incompetence because earlier in your program, you mentioned the whole thing with revenue and that report from Lauren Traeger. You know, we can't even take money correctly. You know, we should be like a church, you know, be able to take money from any source at any time, but we can't. And that, you know, that's the problem that we have here.
Yeah, and I want to follow up on that as well, because like I said, I mentioned there that multiple homeowners, I don't know how many people are affected. They're saying, I paid the tax bill, I paid it on time, I've got the receipt for it, but it didn't post, and now I've got county officials saying not only do you owe this money, but here's a whole bunch of penalties and fees on top of this. Now, that's not just annoying. That financially affects people. That ends up on credit reports. That ends up on a lot of stuff. Where are we with actually fixing the problems? Because the acting director, Director Savage, She's basically saying, yeah, that was the vendor problem. We got to figure it out. But do they?
No. And they wanted to have this DevNet, and that's the vendor, that's the computer program that they wanted. They got it, and then we find out that DevNet does not interface with the assessor's office. Now, the assessor's office is critical because the assessor's office gives the assessments to Department of Revenue, and Department of Revenue acts like one big calculator to spew out all of the bills. And that has not been resolved. My office, just in the 6th district, has been getting anywhere from 3 to 5 calls per week regarding that issue.
Wow.
You know, obviously from different sources. We have been, talking and getting to Department of Revenue saying, what is the problem here? And we might as well be talking into the void because we have not been getting answers. And obviously Department of Revenue and all the department heads work for Sam Page. And we've just not been getting the cooperation that we need to get to the bottom of these constituent complaints.
Yeah, because this may not be anything malicious, but it certainly has to do with competence. But the bottom line is you've got taxpayers who are paying the taxes and they're being treated really badly by their government because of mistakes on the government's end. I don't hear anybody disputing that chain of events. The problem is on the government end.
Exactly. And as you know, it's that's part of the executive branch, and we're having a lot of trouble getting answers. And I'm glad that, like you mentioned, Lauren Traeger, your show is exposing the incompetence because we just can't have that. Because, 3 things government should do. Number 1, collect taxes. Number 2, keep the infrastructure up. And number 3, provide public safety. And we just can't even do the first one of collecting your taxes and giving you the proper credit that is due to you.
Okay, so do we know where we are in getting the problem fixed? Because there's a whole lot of people saying, all right, we're halfway through the year. I don't have to worry about it just yet. But, man, here another 4, 5, 6 months, I'm going to get that bill, and I'm going to want to pay it. But I'm also not going to want to be hounded by the government once I even pay the bill, regardless of what I think of the bill. And so where are we with getting this resolved to where we can have confidence that the system is up and running properly before those bills come out here in, 3-4 months?
Right. And unfortunately, Mike, I don't have those answers. And we've been trying to get those answers from the acting director, and we just haven't been getting those. We're going to be probably convening another committee of the whole to call them in on the carpet, and obviously it will be a public meeting, so their safety is protected. But, along those same lines, we want answers as well, too, because we've got constituents, we've got the basically pitchforks and torches saying, why have you not credited and adequately accounted for my money? And obviously that's taxpayers' hard-earned money that we are not good stewards of right now.
And
so we're trying to get those answers. Mike.
Yeah, Mike, do we know about?
I can't really give you a good answer.
Do we know about how many people are saying, filing complaints or calling your office? I mean, around the county, because you're talking about 3 to 5 a week in your district. Do we know how many folks in general ballpark are having this problem?
I would, in my district, I would probably say I've got a good 20 to 25 people that have complained. Now, then, for those 20 to 25 people that have complained, I would probably say that's the tip of the iceberg. When I talk to Dennis, Dennis Hancock in District 3, same situation. When I talk to Gretchen Bangert, same situation up north in District 2. Mark has got the same situation. So we're probably looking at conservatively maybe 200 or 300 people that have contacted us.
Yeah, that's a big pattern right there. We're visiting with Mike Archer from the St. Louis County Council. Mike, I just got a minute or so left. We've talked off and on over the past several months, obviously with the 4th of July, Independence Day coming up. JB Blast just not happening this year. That's one of the things that Sam Page made a big show of counseling, trying to put it on you all, but he made that decision, and it's just not happening. I know you were trying to kind of work around that, but it looks like him dropping the hammer on that just meant that it's not going to happen this year on the 250th anniversary of America.
Yeah, and the other thing is that, you know, the Parks Department works for him, and the permits was like, no, we can't issue permits.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, so yeah.
Okay, so because you actually found the funding privately for this, so it was actually the Page administration that blocked it even when you found the funding for it.
Right.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, you know, all the more reason to put on the boxing gloves. So, yeah.
There it is. And keep in mind, you know, with Shalonda Webb and you know, Kamika Cunningham and Sam, this is all, you know, I mean, I know the council gets along really well. It's not really an R versus D thing, but this is all of this out of control Democrat on Democrat violence that we have to keep an eye on.
Exactly.
All right. Mike Archer from the St. Louis County Council, thanks so much for the update. But sometimes we just have to laugh, even in a bad situation, because it is so ridiculous that Sam Page has not figured out yet just how irrelevant he is.
Exactly. And he is on his way out, and, you know, the hand grenades just keep getting thrown, and, you know, it's just really ludicrous, Mike.
Yeah,
it really is.
And Sam, if you're listening, he meant that figuratively. Don't freak out, okay? Just saying, Sam. All right. We'll talk to you again soon, Mike. Thanks so much.
Talk to you soon. Thank you.
All right. We've got the podcast of Mike Ferguson in the Morning. Just look up News Talk STL on any platform you're at. You can actually subscribe to this show or subscribe to the entire station. A little bit earlier today, we spoke with our friends from the Pacific Legal Foundation. What do these major court rulings from the Supreme Court actually mean? You can hear that on the podcast here in a little bit, but we're going to revisit that conversation at 8:35 as well. You know that I work really hard to eat healthy, and I work out and I stay in shape, but there's nothing wrong with having a treat sometimes. And when you do that, do it right. Mike Ferguson here for Mario's Donut Restaurant. I am telling you, I had a friend ask me last week. Steve says, hey, we want to check out the different donuts and pastry places. Is there really that much of a difference in Mario's? And I said, go, Steve. Go up to Mugi Road. Go to Mario's. First of all, this is a really big restaurant. You think a coffee shop and donut shops is little holes in the wall. Man, there's plenty of room to spread out, bring your laptop, tap into the Wi-Fi, work, meet with a lot of friends, just have a really good time. It's really quirky out there, the decor. It's a lot of fun. But they've got donuts. They've also got breakfast sandwiches. They've got lunch. They've got desserts. They've got everything. MariosDonutRestaurant.com, just off Mugi Road. Just put Mario's Donuts in your GPS or your maps. It'll take you right there. There is a difference. I love me some Mario's Donuts. We get them out once a week here. Treats are okay. If you're going to do it right. But you can also eat healthy there if you want. You can get your eggs and get your veggies and stuff like that. MariosDonutRestaurant.com. But I'll be really honest. When I go there, I get the donuts with the sprinkles just because so darn delicious. Yes, there's a difference. Find out for yourself. Mario's Donuts, MariosDonutRestaurant.com. 1 in 4 women will have an abortion before the age of 45 in this country. That's the tragedy we must work to stop. Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show here, and that is why Reach Reproductive Health is here, to empower parents to save the lives of innocent children and to see these families come to Christ. And you can be a part of saving and changing lives. So pray and visit outreachforlife.org to learn more, volunteer, and donate. That's outreachforlife.org.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline.
Hello, Kirk Ilsinger, chairman of the Republican Party for the city of St. Louis, and we believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. I invite you to our meetings the first Thursday of every month. Learn more at stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio news junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
Good morning, St. Louis. Hey, it's Vince from The Vince Show right here on News Talk STL every weeknight at 8. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Do you think that America is worth saving?
Not in the current state that it's in. I mean, like, we're here, like, illegitimately, you know, like, we're on stolen land. So, like, America as is, no, is not worth saving.
We're going to come here, we're going to drink your beer, we're going to put some money in the economy, and we're going to have a right good time while we're doing it.
Gotta love the Scottish fans.
Yes.
And I'm not just saying that because I'm of Scottish descent. You got to love the Scottish fans. They've come over. Not only have they had so much fun, but they are reflecting back to us some of the realities of the United States that our friends on the far fringe left. And I'm trying to point out the far fringe left. There's a lot of people on the left who truly do love America. I just think they're wrong about some stuff. But then what's happening is these people all over the world are coming to America in this 250th anniversary of the nation's birth, reflecting back to us so much of the stuff that's good about our country that some Americans can't even see or refuse to see.
And the songs and sound bites that came from that are from different compilations, but the one with the country roads where they're all singing, I found that absolutely amazing because it's a bunch of clearly like soccer hooligans dressed up, but they're wearing cowboy hats later on in there, and they're doing like line dancing and just really embracing that sort of Americana, so to speak, and it's just a wonderful thing to see.
Yeah, it's the World Cup thing. It's funny because, you know, when the World Cup coming to America, it's one of those things where like media and everybody says, you know, you're going to get excited about this. You've got to get excited. And I'm like, whatever. Well, now that it's here and it's happening, I kind of really am digging it. You know, I'm not going to sit and watch a 3-hour soccer match where I go, ooh, who's going to win 1-0? You know, but I'll watch parts of it. I used to play soccer when I was a kid. But what's come out of that with people around the world going, this place is pretty cool. This isn't what I thought.
Well, and that's
even the good-natured trolling back and forth a little bit. Like, for instance, you know, England had a match, I guess, up in the Northeast, and it didn't go so well. And somebody goes, yeah, well, the English they've had a rough run, you know, up here in Massachusetts from time to time. Just saying.
Yeah, there's some good-natured banter that's going back and forth. You know, of course, when the Brits are invading us again for the World Cup, and you know, hopefully we're showing them what for in the soccer matches. But I do think that there is something uniquely wholesome, I guess you would say, to see people that, if you ask anybody that was not paying attention, or even before the World Cup, if you ask people, you know, how divisive Europe sees America, America sees Europe, or any of these other countries that are performing, then there would be a lot of different narratives going around about different stereotypes, just how how incompatible we are, and about how different we are, and then to see people actually show up and say, wow, like let me assimilate into your culture. Let me be a part of the culture and experience the American way of life, despite being
like the Scottish fans.
Yeah, like the Scots.
Like the Scots.
And in exchange, we get some traffic cones on our statues, and that's, you know, that's their contribution to our society.
That's the thing. I actually saw some of those in Scotland. So, you know, that doesn't mean that we don't have problems, that we don't have things we need to fight for. But it also means it's okay to step back, and America 250 is one of the excuses or reasons to do that. Obviously, the World Cup is shining a light on this, which in a way that I never thought was going to happen. It's okay for all of us, whether you're independent or Republican or Democrat or Libertarian or whatever, whether you're on the right, whether you're on the left, it's okay to step back and go, you know what? Why do I get so worked up over this stuff? Because this is a pretty cool place, and we do want to make it the best that we can make it. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I think wholesome, you just said that word, is a really good way to do that, because every once in a while, it's one thing to say we're going to win this political battle, we're going to win this cultural battle, but then you have to step back and ask the question, well, why? Why does it matter so much? Is it just because I don't like that other side, or is it because I love what I want to preserve and I want to protect? And we should all be able to maybe agree on what it is we want to preserve and protect while we want to change the things that need to be changed.
Yeah, and something that I haven't really connected the dots on too much until, you know, we actually started playing more of these is that obviously we can all acknowledge that there are definitely parts of our society and our culture that need to be improved, that we could all work on and do better, and you know, actually take care of each other a little bit more, to fix some of the stuff. But the leftists, and again, I'm talking these fringe leftists, these woke ideological weirdos, their solution to everything is just to complain about everything or I'm not going to do my part in helping fix what I think is wrong with society. Instead, I'm going to go flee, or I'm going to badmouth everything. I'm going to talk about how embarrassed and ashamed, and I'm going to have a temper tantrum.
But their humanities professor said...
Their gender studies professor said.
Right.
But I think that's another main kind of difference between them and to be frank, us. And then again, I didn't really connect those dots until I started hearing how consistently it's yes, America's bad and evil, and I'm ashamed to be American. I can't say I'm proud of it. Okay, well then, what are you doing to enhance that? Why are you just being all doom and gloom and then wanting to run away when there are people that are saying, "Man, I would do anything to be able to come here and to live here and to be a part of this culture."
Yeah, and to be sure, there are plenty of Democrats out there who are patriotic just like everybody else. We may think they're wrong on taxes and social nets and gun control and abortion or whatever. But there are the fringe far left, which is running the leftist movement right now, who are just what you described, the Democratic Socialists and whatever. They're not like the rest of us. And I say the rest of us, I'm including the centrist and the center left old-fashioned Democrats in that as well. All right. 827 going 828 here. You traveling anywhere for the holiday?
I'm supposed to go back to Illinois.
Oh, go back to visit family and friends up there?
Yeah.
You going to go see your mom? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really traveling. Well, Friday I'm going to be out of town. There's a friend of mine who's going to be in Kansas City. She kind of splits her time between Kansas City and Texas, I think. And she's like, I'm going to be in Kansas City. Let's meet for like breakfast or brunch. And then she's got to go right back, take care of some business. So I'm going to go meet up with a friend I haven't seen in years. And then I'm going to be back. But other than that, I'm just going to be around. I'm not going to do a whole lot over the 4th. But AAA says this is going to be a record year for travel. And they define traveling for the holidays as at least 50 miles.
Yeah, my trip's definitely more than that.
Right. So like going across town to go visit somebody doesn't count as traveling for the holidays. So going from Granite City to, Wentzville does not count. But going, from here to Columbia, here to Kansas City, here to Chicago, here to where that's what they're looking at. Something like 72.2 million Americans or people in America are expected to travel for the 4th of July holiday. That's the largest number ever. The fact that the gas prices have come down is going to help. They're still higher than they were, a year ago or so. But there's going to be a lot of travel, which means put the cruise control on, everybody. When you're on the highway, just put the cruise control. Take whatever time it takes to get there. First of all, police are going to be everywhere. Secondly, the highways are probably going to be crowded. I mean, when I travel Friday, I'm expecting a lot of traffic on I-70.
Also, stay in your lane.
Yes. If you're in the left one, get into the right unless you're driving faster than everybody else.
You don't be that person.
Don't be that guy.
The semi-trucks,
like the guy who was on 67 yesterday. I'm talking to you.
We know who you are.
Oh, dude.
But yeah, and also if you see a vehicle broken down or you see somebody getting pulled over for being a knucklehead, try to switch out of the lane. It's unfortunate, but people get hit all the time in preventable things because people aren't paying attention and think that they should not move out of the way to build some room for people that need to change their tires or deal with the police. So
there's just going to be a lot of activity out there. Usually what happens in Missouri, on the Missouri side, and I think Illinois may do something similar, but on the Missouri side, about every 10 to 15 miles on a highway, there will be a law enforcement officer somewhere. And that's just basically through the holiday. And the holiday travel season, I think, actually technically started yesterday. So we're actually in it up through Sunday or Monday. And so, there's going to be a lot of people on the roads. Friday, I'm there and then I'm back. And then that's it for me. I'm just going to hang around.
And to our friends in the Illinois side of things, there have been multiple police agencies saying that they will be patrolling areas with drones to make sure you're not firing off fireworks.
That's right. Kirkwood's doing that too. I saw that.
There are a lot of jurisdictions saying, if you light it, you get cited or something like that. And that it doesn't matter if you as the homeowner or property owner are the one that's blowing it off. If anybody within your little background party is blowing off fireworks, they will have drones and they will be citing you.
So are we already seeing mission creep from the drones of law enforcement then?
Did I not tell you?
Yeah.
To exactly what...
We've gone from responding to a call to we're going to patrol with them. That's immediate mission creep.
But if you want to join me in firing off fireworks at drones, not encouraging nothing, but yes, no, I will take this time to say I told all of you that exactly something like this could happen when they were suggesting it. Now, that being said, What do we make of the big Supreme Court decisions handed down yesterday? At 8:35, we'll get into what those decisions mean for the country.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
What was once considered radical is now mainstream.
On News Talk STL. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to continue to track temperatures back towards the upper 90s today, but it feels like temperature reaching up to 107 degrees in some areas. Mostly sunny skies going to be on deck today. From Thursday lasting through Saturday, we continue our first alert weather day coverage as we continue to surge back towards the triple digits for our heat index values. We'll continue to look at some isolated chances of showers and storms from the afternoon hours lasting towards the early overnight hours each day. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch.
Fox News commentary with Brian Kilmeade. Next.
You're probably listening to this in your car, so let me ask you, would you drive without insurance? Of course not. So why is your retirement portfolio unprotected? Gold is portfolio insurance. It helps de-risk your savings when markets get unpredictable. Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands of Americans do exactly that, with no high-pressure sales and thousands of 5-star reviews. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult with your tax or financial professional before making any investment decisions.
Here's Brian Kilmeade.
Now, if you're surprised by Democratic Socialists winning the New York primary, you have not been paying attention. This did not happen overnight. And it's not even the only state this is happening to. Socialists are winning races across the country, from city halls to state legislatures and now U.S. Congress. Whether you call the progressives or socialists, doesn't matter, because this is not about one person. It was about shifting an entire party. Now the ideas that were once considered kooky are winning primaries. They're no longer trying to pull the Democratic to the left. They're on the left. And in many places, they are going to stay on the left. Even moderate Democrats are starting to push back now. The group of House Dems launched a centrist pledge, declaring that they're capitalists, not socialists, and not anti-Israel. They see what's happening to their party. They're trying to stop it. This new wave isn't just progressive. It's saying things that even the squad once would not say.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Yo, this is Vic. Vic for Vets is proudly honoring our veterans. Every Wednesday at 11:05, you'll hear about that day's honoree and their incredible service to our country.
Hi, it's Ken. You want to nominate a veteran? Send their name, service information, and story to me, Ken, at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Brought to you by Heroes Care, Alamo Military Collectibles, Gemini Wealth Group, Michael's Funeral Home, and Freddy's Market.
Together, let's celebrate the heroes in our community, Vic for Vets, where honor meets gratitude.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-478-6430 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-478-6430. That's 800-478-6430. What do you have to lose? Call 800-478-6430. Again, 800-478-6430.
News, analysis, opinion.
I want to see people go to jail. I want to see people pay the price for abusing taxpayer dollars. I think the American people are sick and tired of it.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
Birthright citizenship. and the sexually confused in sports. Okay, these were the two big key factors and two big rulings from the U.S. Supreme Court that was handed down on Tuesday, obviously. So we're now joined by Joe Luppino from the Pacific Legal Foundation. Hopefully I got your last name pronounced right there, Joe. Appreciate you being on the program here. So let's dissect what some of these things mean. We were trying to do a little bit of an overview a bit ago here on the program, Joe. There are the basic nuts and bolts, and then there's the temptation, I think, of us to get worked up over the decisions and then run off down the rabbit hole and look at these things as something they're actually not. Let's start with the birthright citizenship ruling. This one seems fairly, I wouldn't say cut and dry, but it basically came down to the Supreme Court saying the president's interpretation in the executive order of the 14th Amendment is not valid. Like it, don't like it. We decide that the 14th Amendment says if you're born in the United States on U.S. soil, therefore, you're a U.S. citizen, regardless of what your status or your parents are. Obviously, there's a few, diplomatic exceptions and things like that. But for the most part, conservatives don't like the ruling. But what does it actually mean? And then I think that also shows how important things like border security policy are.
Yes, you're exactly right. These are the types of issues that are a little easier to read just in the way they wrote the opinion. So the issue is coming down to, where the Constitution lies. And really what Roberts said in the opinion was, well, there's always an opportunity for a constitutional amendment. Sure, I guess that's always a possibility. But the truth is this is how it's going to stand most likely for at least some time. Justice Kavanaugh did have sort of what I'm sure he might have written as almost a compromise position to say that this is actually a statutory issue and not a constitutional issue, and therefore could be overcome by passing a different law. But that did not win the day. So he also thought it was invalid. But on the actual constitutional question, the split was actually 5-4. And I think you're right. This is now where the focus will shift. I think in politics and in Washington is all right. Well, knowing that anyone who comes here, whether it's through birth tourism, whether it's through somebody just crossing the border sort of at the right time or even years earlier and they're here illegally when they have a child, that is going to be the main thing that we are going to we're going to have to look at from an immigration policy standpoint, that this is going to continue to stand as we had believed it was prior to this decision as well.
Good morning, Joe. This is Susie Moore. Like many, I felt like this was the executive order was going to be struck down. I also thought perhaps the court might take that middle of the road approach that Kavanaugh did and say, not make it a definitive determination under the Constitution, but instead look to the statute. We've seen immediately after the ruling, several Congress members kind of lean into, okay, we're going to try and take a statutory, run at this and amend the applicable provisions and see if we cannot thread that needle, if you will. I think everyone recognizes the thought of getting a constitutional amendment done on this is pie in the sky at best. But do you see a way forward if they can get legislation, and that's a big if too, passed that directly addresses this, where that would then withstand the constitutional challenge?
It's hard to see how they could thread the needle because they so explicitly said this is a 14th Amendment issue. This is where it should be. That said, another challenge to the law, maybe with a different makeup of the court, things could be different. Or, as Justice Alito said in his dissent, as Justice Thomas said as well, hey, I don't know if this is going to stand the test of time. Like there's going to be a time where this gets challenged again, and we may look at this thing differently. Justice Thomas is really focused a lot on domicile. Justice Alito just sort of looking at it from the perspective of, we did not adopt a feudal system here. That's kind of the way he couched what the majority opinion was saying, no, we had a new founding that did not talk about this. They talked about subjects in those rules. They did not talk about citizens. So this is a whole different thing. So I think if if something that happened in the next year or two, going to be a lot harder. If we're talking 10, 15 years down the road, then there could be some space there with a new court and really new circumstances that make the political realities a little different for how the court may view it.
We're visiting with Joe Luppino-Esposito from our friends at the Pacific Legal Foundation. Okay, I want to just wrap up this one because I want to talk about the whole Title IX and sports
sports, women in sports situation here in a second as well. But a lot of this, Joe, come down to, okay, here's what the 14th Amendment text, the actual words say, versus people pointing out, but that's not what they meant at the time. Those words meant something different at the time. They were referring to freed slaves. They weren't referring to mass immigration, which I think you can make that argument and say that's exactly what was meant at the time that the constitutional amendment was written and passed. However, that's what the actual words say.
Yes, that is a big piece of the argument, saying, what do those phrases subject to the jurisdiction thereof really mean? And that's where you get into this battle from the dissent saying that they are misinterpreting it. I think it was particularly interesting that, Justice Thomas, I believe his dissent was 91 pages long. It seemed almost like a joke that toward the end he said, the majority says that my evidence is scant. I disagree because, he went through about 50 pages just to get it going as to the importance of domicile in that calculation. So that is kind of ultimately where they landed on it. And, again, with the originalist or textualist view of things and how the court looks at it, including the more liberal justices, as Justice Kagan once said, we're all originalists now, right? Everyone's trying to do the analysis from that standpoint, and that's kind of where they had the fight. The folks that won the day were obviously with the chief in upholding birthright citizenship.
I don't want to get too philosophical here, Joe, but I do have to ask this. To me, this seemed like breaking with Robert's tradition of taking the narrowest path possible to decide these sorts of things. It seems more often than not that if there's a way for the court to punt, he will find it. And since he took the lead on this one especially, I was a little surprised that he leaned so far into this one. Did anything
from
about that?
Like a constitutional
perspective, when there was a narrower way to rule on this, did that surprise you at all?
Yeah, actually, no, that was the same thought I had, especially, running up to this, all the prognosticating as to what the count was going to be. My best bet kind of going in was, well, there'll be some discussion on domicile, and maybe there's going to be 2 votes for that concept. But maybe if he's going to go for a big swing, he's going to have to get at least 7 votes in order to do that. Or he's going to go the more narrow route and just get a smaller ruling. He kind of went with the latter that I didn't expect to see the big swing and then those smaller numbers. So it really portrayed a very divided court on, I think, an issue he would have liked to have seen the court kind of come down strongly, presumably in the position that he believes in. But for him to take that big swing and then keep the opinion for himself, not surprising at all. In the end, that vote count for what he went for seems a little odd, like you said, based on his history.
All right, the voice you're hearing right now is Joe Luppino-Esposito from our friends at the Pacific Legal Foundation. Okay, the other big one now, there was the campaign finance one. I don't know if we're going to have time to get into that, but the last few minutes we've got here, Joe, the ruling regarding boys and men in girls and women's sports. Now, this is one of those where I think it's real easy for people to read into the ruling things that aren't there. But what this basically is, I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong or tell me if I'm right, it comes down to, yes, states can stick with actual biological reality, not the so-called gender identity thing. And if a state wants to protect women's sports from the gender confused or gender dysphoric boys and men, they're allowed to do that, because I've heard people say, for instance, the court has banned trans athletes from competing, and there's nothing of the sort in that.
No, you're absolutely correct. It is sort of, can the bans withhold constitutional scrutiny? And that's what the court says that they do. And I think that's some of the criticism I saw from some folks, particularly on the right, saying, well, why didn't they take the bigger swing and just say, no, like there cannot be any biological men in women's sports? Per the last question, that's not the question that they were looking at, right? So it was very narrow, in that the people who were challenging these laws based on either the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment or under Title IX, are these bans allowed to stand? And the court said, yeah, absolutely, they can stand. And, it was an ideological split, not surprising at all. That's kind of how all these cases have shook out. But yeah, that's exactly, you nailed it exactly.
So then, of course, these issues are never really truly done and settled, even when we think they are, because the next step seems to me to be challenges to, for instance, states like Washington or California or Illinois, where they do have laws that permit males to participate in female sports, and someone's going to challenge that and say this is this is violating my rights in some way. I'm sure those cases are already kind of percolating, and it's not entirely clear what the court would do with something like that.
That's right. Yeah, I think that's where the next challenge is coming. You sort of had, all right, these are the challenges coming from the people in the red states, and the court basically said, yes, sanity can rule the day in those states. But in your other states where they have the opposite thing in effect, where does that stand? And that's exactly right. Those cases are starting to percolate up now, and they're going to make that same argument, I think, again, as to what are you entitled to have, as a woman in women's sports. Is there equal protection or a Title IX violation by letting biological men go into that field, literally or figuratively? And that's, I think, where the court will see it. It doesn't look like there's anything set for the next term on that, but it'll be soon enough.
Yeah, and just last minute we've got, I like how you put that, where you say, in this case, the ruling is, sanity can rule the day in these sports here. I mean, at some point, does the question from those states that Susie just listed, does the court say, well, insanity can rule the day if that's the people that are elected by the people? Because if and when those laws are challenged, allowing the men and the boys into the girls' sports and locker rooms and things like that, wasn't what was decided essentially the right of the state to pass those laws? And so on the other side, it wouldn't be whether or not the states are allowed to, it's whether somebody's rights are being violated in that case. So, I mean, it would be a totally different discussion at that point, wouldn't it?
Oh, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it then comes down to what is sort of the outer limit, whether it gets challenged under Title IX or equal protection or another theory as to what the individual's rights are in that particular situation. Are they going to say it's compelling enough that you should not have to either share a locker room or take the same field as somebody or compete against them if they're of the opposite sex? And again, that could also turn on particular circumstances. Maybe there's an issue regarding privacy in the locker room, but hey, if you're on the lacrosse field and there's a guy there and his team, well, so be it. Kind of not our problem, and not compelling enough to step in.
Yeah. All right, Joe. Let's go ahead and we've already tagged you in Pacific Legal on social media. People want to follow your work. That are your colleagues' website. What's the way to be in touch?
Yeah, pacificlegal.org is the way to find us, and you can find all the cases that we're working on. A lot of them getting to the Supreme Court, and a lot of things working through the states and federal courts as well.
Thanks, Joe.
You feel it every time you check out. Prices up, paychecks stretched, families squeezed. That's why Ann Wagner's fighting to get government off your back and out of your way. Wagner passed the largest tax cut in American history, expanded child tax credits, ended taxes on tips, overtime, and Social Security. And Wagner is working to lower costs so families keep more of their hard-earned money. But Ann Wagner knows delivering for Missouri means more than just protecting their wallets. It means protecting our streets as well. That's why Wagner fought to secure our border, deport dangerous illegal aliens, partner with law enforcement, and put predators behind bars and off our streets so our neighborhoods and communities stay safe. Because real effective leadership protects what matters most: your money, your family, your safety. Ann Wagner for Congress.
I'm Ann Wagner, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Ann Wagner for Congress.
When you count on Connor, you're getting the timeless American values that have guided our company from day one. Hard work, impeccable service, and honesty. At Connor Roofing, you aren't just getting a roof, you're getting safeguarded by a neighbor who cares. When you count on Connor, you're receiving protection for your home, your family, and your peace of mind.
Visit ConnorRoofing.com.
Are you tired of hard chlorinated water drying your skin out, tasting bad, and ruining your fixtures? Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to this pollution. Our Hydratech H2O leaves you with great tasting, soft water at all fixtures in your home with one unit. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit us on the web at joneswater.com. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
All right, let's do a quick follow-up and get some reaction from those Supreme Court decisions that you just heard about there. And NPR doing some backtracking. Big time.
Ooh.
Boy, they showed everybody just how bad they can be when it comes to journalisming on stuff. All right. And dysfunction in the St. Louis County government now just at ridiculous levels, as though it weren't at ridiculous levels to start with. But it's at a new sort of comic book level here. All right, 8:52. Let's do one more news dump here.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Lee May Concrete and Block. The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the Morning News Dump.
Okay, so by now you've already heard the details of the Supreme Court ruling that rejects President Trump's executive order regarding birthright citizenship. The Supreme Court striking down that order, saying that no, the current interpretation of the 14th Amendment, if you are born in the United States, you are a U.S. citizen. Now, there's a couple carve-outs for like diplomats and things like that, but for the most part, they ruled that is the reality, and that's what the government recognizes right now. House Democratic Caucus Chair Pete Aguilar, he's out of California, he supports and celebrates that decision.
Republicans are not serious about this issue. It's always been about politics, and we'll see how the president, responds to this, but I'm sure he'll, there'll be a couple hundred words that he'll put out. But this was the right decision. The crazy part is that it wasn't a unanimous decision.
And Vice President J.D. Vance was reacting to this on the Ingram angle on Fox.
Fundamentally, what we're talking about is fixing a problem the Supreme Court created. We also want to look over the long term at undoing that problem to begin with, because, again, this was only a 5-4 decision.
Okay, so one of the things that people who don't like this ruling are pointing out, saying, but we have literal birth tourism industries, and then obviously you had tens of millions of illegal aliens, and God knows how many children born to those illegal aliens, and now it's confirmed they're recognized as citizens of the United States because they were born here. That doesn't stop Congress from stopping other people from coming into the country through policy and through law, and it also shows how important border security actually is. I would argue it also shows how important it is to continue to find illegal aliens and deport them.
Yeah, I understand that they went with the letter of the law rather than the spirit of the law with this decision. It is disappointing, though, because based on the current estimates that I've seen, based just on the illegal population here, that's over 150,000 babies that will be born to non-citizens that are currently in the country. And then, of course, you have to factor in the fact that they would also still have access to Trump accounts if they so choose. It has to do with the legitimacy of the baby, not the parents.
Right, yeah, so that's where the term anchor baby came from. Yep. All right, NPR is apologizing for a completely false report about Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito. Reporter Nina Totenberg posted a story saying Alito is retiring. Now, that story was also reported on the air across the nation on NPR, and then it got picked up in some other media outlets. It's false.
Wow.
I mean, just absolutely nothing about it is true. Totenberg later admitted that she heard secondhand information that she now says not only was it secondhand information, but she misheard the secondhand information, is her claim. And she made an assumption and then ran with the story across the country.
So it's not that they got maybe one or two details wrong. It's the fact that this is just an entire nothing sandwich that they ran with.
Yeah, and posted it and treated it as fact. NPR says it profoundly regrets the error. Profoundly regrets the error. Yeah, I mean, this is the type of thing that would not happen, as I said earlier. This would not happen on a student newspaper in junior high.
No, absolutely not.
Oh, good Lord. All right. Let's see here. As of right now, St. Louis County department heads are not allowed to meet with county council members to talk about, among other things, their budgets. At least Sam Page says so. Sam Page issued that directive this week saying it's to keep the administration officials safe from physical violence because he thinks the county council members are going to beat up his appointees. I don't know that he actually thinks that, but, that's what he's saying. He's worried about their physical safety.
They're going to do another UFC 250 with the council
Right.
now?
Yeah, he's accusing Councilwoman Shalonda Webb of threatening violence against one director, the health department director, and specifically Webb denies that, although they all admit they don't like each other. But this is just such a bizarre chain of events. We spoke with Councilman Mike Archer a little bit earlier. That's going to be posted on our podcast a little bit shortly here. Let's see here. What do we got? Got a minute left? Okay. Boil advisory in effect for parts of the city. A big part of North City, and I would venture to say the majority of South City in St. Louis. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm not going to list all the neighborhoods. Check out the city's website if you want to see the map. But basically, if you're in South City, you're probably covered by it. North City, a lot of it. So there was a water pressure loss on one of the main lines. And so what happens is when the water pressure came back up, it stirred up a bunch of stuff. They haven't detected any actual dangers. This is just a precaution. They're hoping to give the all clear today or tomorrow when they get all the testing done. In the meantime, if you're going to drink it, if you're going to brush your teeth with it, if you're going to wash food with it, if you can wash the dishes with it, you know what, just boil it for a few minutes or just go to the store and get some bottled water. Just do that. Cardinals beat the Braves to start the series yesterday. Final score 5-3 in Atlanta. Second game of that series is tonight. The first pitch is at 6:15. Cardinals are going to put Michael McGreevy on the mound against the Tribe.